Studios. And just as the thumbnail says, it all comes down to this. And what is this? Camera brands. So let's talk about it. So we are going to talk about it tonight. But first, let me introduce the panel tonight. You all know David Stewart for the most part. Most of you have been here before with David. John Ishii, you remember John, of course, Mr. Photojournalist. He's retired, but I still think he's got that photojournalist blood in him because he's always looking for the next photo. If you don't follow him, you should, because he's always posting some unique photos. and his lovely wife, Miss Diana Ishii, and she's a photographer in her own right. And what a fantastic photographer she is. She's going to share some of her photos with us tonight. So I want everybody to hang on for that. But we'll let everybody get in here. Let's see. Well, we already have 16 folks that have joined us. That's great. Trying to pick it up in the beginning, gentlemen, because I have so many people that go through the channel and they're only here for the first 5 minutes because we're just introducing people and then they're gone. So it's a little difficult. I know we can get a little drab right up front, but tonight I'm trying to make it a little more interesting to kick it off. So we already have Jeff and Leslie here, J-Rod Photo, Gustavo, Greg Wilson, and quite a few others that I know that are in the wings. And I want you, all of you, I want the chat to participate tonight in this discussion that we're going to have. What I'm trying to do is stomp out fanboyism. I know I'm not going to accomplish that, but I'd like to get past fanboyism. I'd really like to get into just photography and everybody happy that another brand drops a new camera instead of being trying to tear the brand apart before anybody touches the camera. Or I don't understand that. So that's going to be the crux of the conversation tonight. The phone line is open. I'll put the phone number up here in a little bit. But first, let me let our panelists introduce themselves. And we'll start with the beautiful Miss Diana Ishii. Go ahead, Diana.
Hi, hello. Hello, everyone.
John?
Hey, good to see everybody here tonight. Can't wait to get into our conversation and discuss what fanboyism is.
All right, David.
Good evening, folks. It's I know there are some women in the crowd lurking around, and it's the regular crew is here. Currently, I shoot two brands. It's a Nikon and Olympus. It's the brand doesn't matter itself. The use of the camera matters more to me. So, and I use one camera for one thing, and like I run about 6 or 8 cameras at the same time. Each has their own use, and then it just happen to span two brands.
Yep, there you go. Diana, what are you shooting?
For my camera, I started off with Nikon because I learned my photography from John. So he started me off with a small little point and shoot Nikon camera.
Oh, okay.
And I have been using Nikon camera until Nikon D800, D810. And then after that, I switched to Leica. And I shoot now mostly with my Leica SL. And then now I have slowly moved from Leica into Hasselblad with the medium format camera.
Okay, great. Sounds great. John, I know you, but you do shoot more than just Nikon.
Yeah, I predominantly use mostly Nikon, but I do have a Hasselblad 907. And I'm kind of a Fuji fanboy because I like the 100 megapixel GFX series. And then, then I got a Leica M10 for my birthday, 60th birthday, a few years back.
Okay.
So each one has its different character, but my to-go is Nikon. It's the most extensive because professionally I used it all my life, that brand, and I just know it inside out, and I know the lenses inside out. So and it's such a robust camera. It never fails me. So for daily usage, and with the new Z series, it's I can't believe how much it's even better than the old DSLR series years back.
Okay. So, folks, I'd love to have a Canon shooter and a Sony shooter in here. However, nobody will pony up and join the stream. I wish you would, because I think we need reps for all brands. But again, tonight, let's talk about the fanboyism that goes on. Personally, I shoot Nikon. You guys know I don't shoot any other brands, primarily because I don't want to. It has nothing to do with other brands not being as good or anything like that. I'm happy with Nikon. I'm just going to stick with it. I know that a lot of people wonder about that. You know, are you afraid to try it? No, I'm not. I'm just happy with what I have. And it would be nice if everybody else could be happy with what they have. And then YouTube doesn't turn into the UFC octagon anytime there's a video posted about how bad one brand is over another, because I honestly don't believe any one brand is worse than the other. There's some different uses, as John brought up, especially in the Fuji camp. The GFX series has been fantastic. It seems to have sold real well. It may not be the brand of choice for birders, but quite a few other people seem to find it fine for what they do. So I'm just hoping that we can get to the bottom of what fanboyism. We're not going to stamp it out tonight, but maybe we can get some people to at least accept that, you know what, I don't have to go on a binge, or not a binge, but a rant and battle over what camera's the best. I just need to shoot my brand and be happy with it. Doesn't mean you can't pick on your buddies, of course, because that goes on all the time anyway. So I just want to mention the others. Roy's in here, Tim Hunter, Joe Stroud, Greg Wilson. I already mentioned you. And Mr. Vahagan. Mr. Vahagan's in the chat. Vahagan, if you'd like to join the panel, just let me know, man, and I'll send you the link. Anybody else, for that matter, that'd like to join the panel, I'll definitely bring you in here and we can start this conversation off. I was talking to David earlier, and David was talking about some points that he had written down concerning this topic. And we'll let David go through those here in a few minutes. But what is everybody shooting? Everybody drop in the comments what you're shooting with now, your primary camera. And if you have multi brands, then by all means mention them as well. It'll be interesting to see who we have in the chat tonight. Yeah, and Nikon shooters, you actually can shoot the same brand twice. And that's in DSLR, F-mount glass, and of course mirrorless with Z glass. I'm looking at the chat here. I encourage you guys too in the panel to look at the chat. If you see anything go by that you'd like to respond to, by all means do. So
what's
of
the
course,
definition of a fanboy?
just somebody that just in my definition, obviously there's no Webster definition of it, but there may be for fanboy, but fanboyism in the camera community is you can't accept any other brand, and your brand is perfect. You can't find any fault in your brand, and you're going to pick on everybody else that shoots something different, you know. And Nikon has their fanboys. Let me tell you, Nikon has fanboys, because there are some out there that just refuse to believe that Nikon can do anything wrong. And I beg to differ. You know, I've been on this rant for a year now about what I think Nikon has done wrong. Of course, I don't run Nikon, nor are they going to let me run Nikon, but I can still sit out here and rant from a consumer's perspective. And I'll tell you where Nikon goes wrong when they do. I'm not a fanboy. I'm a fan of Nikon, but not a fanboy. So I'm seeing all kinds of things over here in the chat. A lot of Nikon shooters. Well, that's typical for the channel right now, because it started off as a Nikon-centric channel, and we begin to roll over into a more inclusive community. Let's see. I saw a couple of things go by. Joe Mack shoots Canon and Olympus. Um, Jeff and Leslie, your definition is close to definition of a blooming idiot. Yeah, I think so. Albert, how you doing? Albert's another multi-brand shooter and definitely multi-brand glass guy. He's got every glass made by every glass manufacturer out there. J Rod's he's a Nikon shooter, but he's been playing with his Mamiya 645. A lot of film he's been playing with. Let's see. Roy, I'd still be shooting with the Z9, but I dropped it. So his Z9 is at Nikon being repaired. Bah, 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 bah. I'm just looking here. I want to see all the. Vahagan saying hi to you, Diana and John, Dave. Yeah, Vahagan, you need to get in here with us. All right. So Baron at Photography Discourse wants to know what everybody shoots, what they're primarily shooting. What is your genre of choice, or do you have a particular genre? We'll start with Diana. Diana, what do you shoot mostly?
What do I shoot? I think most of the time I do a lot of travel photography. And then in travel photography, I like doing landscape. I like portrait. And now I'm more moving towards more of the genre of fine art photography. It just different thing. I'm not really a street photographer as such, but I do sometimes go out, take some photographs of the street. But mainly when we go traveling on a photography trip, so we usually shoot the local culture, the people, and then the
Right.
custom, that kind of thing. I do like landscape a lot too. It's like, I would shoot like aurora, different thunderstorms and all that. I like lightning too. I shoot a lot of lightning pictures.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
And I think that shows in your photography, and we'll have to post the link up here so people can go look at what you shoot. I know that we're going to get around to you showing some of your photography. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure everybody else is. But yeah, your portfolio as such shows that you just enjoy shooting and you enjoy the art of photography, which is great. I think that's wonderful. We talk about that a lot, getting away from the technique of
Yes.
photography and playing with
Yes.
the art of photography, meaning
Yes. Yes.
there are no rules.
Yes. I think that it is the passion of photography that's more important to me. The beauty of capturing the moment and bring that image to the world.
Right.
It goes beyond gear, I think. Of course, having the right gear is very important. And I will share the story with you later on that, when John and I went to Mongolia this time, and I wish that I had different gear because it was quite frustrating, when you had the wrong gear and you did not have what it takes. You see the picture, but you cannot execute it. And that's really frustrating.
Yeah, and there are some people that will argue and say you can get any photo with anything you have or whatever. But no, I think that you're absolutely right. There's a time and place for certain lenses, focal lengths, and things like that, whether it's wide or whether it's a long telephoto or whatever. So I think you're absolutely right. And that is particularly for art. If you're looking for the art in it, you want to be able to use whatever the perfect lens and the perfect camera body and everything else to capture what you see in your mind. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't understand that either, is you probably pre-vision what you want to capture. And
Yeah.
sometimes your lens or something may not allow that. So yeah, I understand that. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Because also another thing that I when I shoot, I do not like to crop the picture too much. So having the right focal length is very important to me. And of course, sometimes we get in the situation that you don't have a choice. You need to crop a little bit because it is impossible to get closer to the subject that you would like to shoot.
yeah.
So I mean that will be a no choice situation. But I think that being able to get the right focal length, the gear, the lens that you want, and you understanding what each lens can do
Right.
and what effects it can create. I think that is quite important, and it's part of the fun actually of photography too.
It is. You're absolutely right. And I love when I see photos that are more creative than they are technically correct. Doesn't mean there isn't a place for that. And of course, John can attest to that. Everything he did was, you know, had to be for a purpose. And there was no, when I say there's no creativity, John, don't shoot me, man. I don't mean that completely, because you're a creative photojournalist. You know what you're looking for and how to create that photo that captures the essence of what it's all about, whatever the event or catastrophe or whatever it is all about. But on the creative side of, you know, introducing introducing noise into the photo, or introducing flare or sun flare, some that's the creative side, and a lot of people don't ever really look for those kind of things. So look forward to seeing what you guys have to say about it and what everybody else has to say about it. So John, I know, what are you shooting now? I mean, I kind of follow everything that you're posting and I love it. But, but I'm gonna, but I'm not going to try to explain it. You're going to have to do
that. Yeah. I have, you know, my thought pattern on taking pictures is so wacky. The things I see and capture, just most of it is just for fun's sake, you know, as you notice, some are just off the wall stuff, things I read or things I see, signage or things that don't make sense. I see the humor in it, you know, because that's just the way I think. So I try to see things differently, whether it's creative or not. I don't know. Artistically, they're not very good. You know, I don't have an art background, and my training is just to get the shot so the editor can use it for whatever purpose, you know, or for a job and commercial use. So that's why I have different cameras, and like for the GFX, the Fuji medium format, obviously you can't go shoot a basketball game with it, you know, but you know, for studios and commercial shoots, it's where you take one shot and the next picture is like 5 or 10 minutes later, then it's fine. So it's like having a different paintbrush. I think on Diana's side, she like I always say, she has an art background. She has a fine art background, so she knows the great masters and artists, and I think understanding that is a great advantage for a photographer. The technical part that you can learn on YouTube or just read the manual.
Well, do you think that the photojournalism background that you have lends to the way you shoot? Because
oh yeah, of course,
you catch some pretty exciting moments, or I mean, just in the shooting that you do now, you seem to have that affinity to see something and grab it real quick.
Well, the fundamental rules that I use is that I use religiously is identifiers. That's the first thing. The picture's got to have an identifier,
you know? Right.
So that's really important. So that's the first thing, identifier, and then that will encompass a story in the frame. So yeah. I try to, and then try to make it somewhat humorous or you know, somewhat controversial in a snapshot, whether I use my phone or a camera. But the identifiers is probably the most important thing.
But I think it's interesting that both of you shoot some varied brands here and for specific purposes, typically. But as Diana said, sometimes you may not have exactly what you want for what you see in front of you. So but still, I think you guys have a varied tool chest as far as cameras and lenses go. David, what are you shooting? I know, but tell everybody else.
Well, I shoot an awful lot of low light, like after dark. I'll do sunrises, sunsets. I'll shoot the aurora. I'll even shoot landscapes in the middle of the night. You know, and it's just to be different. It's now for a lot of the time I'm using my Z9, or my D850. If I'm shooting the aurora, I'll use a D810A, and that's because of its infrared capabilities. And when the summer rolls around and I can't shoot the aurora, I'm going to get that thing modified so I can shoot even more infrared with it, because it sees quite a bit more than my other full frames do. And I still have a 750 as a backup. The nights that the aurora is going good, I'll have 3 cameras going, all with prime lenses. It's and I'll shoot wide open with an f1.8, and it's and usually with the aurora it's wider. And right now my stream is freezing again, and this is one thing I don't like about Nikon is their utility that they have, so we can use our cameras as a webcam, is a little bit better than NFG. And some days is worse than others. It's in the building that I'm in, there's an argument of who's going to pay for fiber, and that's why it freezes up every so often, because I'm only using a quarter of my bandwidth, so I should have lots. But anyway, and I do have my Olympus that I have for a walking around camera. It's it'll do 80% of what my Nikons do, except for the low light stuff. All the daytime stuff, they're great. And it'll fit in my pocket, and I'll run around with it. And the only thing, I can't shoot the Milky Way with it. But that being said, I have. And I've shot the aurora with it, because that was the camera that I had with me. And they weren't good shots, but they were much better than using your phone. But that being said, I've got a friend of mine that uses her phone for aurora shots, and she gets fantastic stuff on nights that I can't get out because of the clouds or whatever. So the big thing is with your camera, I use whichever I have in my hand, and I try to make it work. And I usually can. You know?
Okay. And that's fine. I think it's wonderful. So the big question then is, why do we as a community, photography community, battle over brands? And I got a cat that's dying for some attention over here. If you hear him meowing, sorry. So now let's get the chat involved. Before that, Vahagan wants to know what your favorite your all-time favorite camera is, Diana.
And that's a very hard question. I mean, it changes. It changes. I mean, like I used to like my Leica SL because I am familiar with the menu and I can do it blindfolded. I think one of the most important thing is that for a camera that you like is you're really familiar with the menu. I'm not very good with the Japanese brand camera because I find it quite difficult with a nested menu. And it takes a while, to get used to it. And for the SL menu, is very simple. So I know exactly where things are. So to me, that is very important that when I'm familiar with the camera, then you will not lose that moment that you want to capture. And but if I have to pick one, I would choose the Hasselblad, the 907. Because the shooting style is quite different. Usually for the DSLR, you shoot like this is a 907.
All right.
So this one is like you handle it quite differently. It's just like an old style film camera. So you shoot with this angle instead of like putting it at an eye level.
Right.
So it forces you to look at things a little bit differently, and it's a fun camera. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Just you have to take the time. It's a slow camera. It's very slow. You cannot just shoot whatever. You just have to really get into the rhythm. You have to work with it, and that's a
Well,
challenge. That's fun.
there's nothing wrong with that. But you know what? We're kind of coming back to those days. It seems like now with the LCD on the back of the camera, everybody's shooting with that rather than the EVF or OVF. You see more people holding the camera out in front of them to shoot, just using the LCD screen. I know it's not the same, but we're kind of going back to that technique of not holding it up at eye level anymore. So it's kind of funny. Da, 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 da. Let's see. I'm just so Vaughan again here, real quick. Do you follow any Hasi or Leica channels, Diana?
On Instagram, yeah, on IG, the official, Hasselblad channel, and then the Leica camera channel, and then look at some of the pictures that other people produces using the camera. But I don't have the time to like really follow a YouTube channel and then read it. Usually I just look at the pictures on the IG.
Right. Okay. Wait a minute. Let's see. I wish I could spare one. He's talking to somebody else in the chat, but Tim had a comment that I want to throw up here. Brand wars are more of a reflection of insecurities of the consumer needing to have their purchase validated. Sony, Nikon, Canon don't fight like the consumers. It's a consumer problem, not the companies. I will agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's a very good. The key word is insecurities.
Just the validation of your purchase or your choice of a brand. Why? Just be happy with it if you chose it. If you don't like it, then go to something else. But I mean, just be happy with what you have, and you don't need to be validated. That's the other thing is I wish people to understand they don't have to be validated. If you're happy with what you're doing and the camera you're using and everything else, then it doesn't matter. So yeah, Tim, I think you're right on the money. And that's where I wanted to go tonight, is getting into this subject about talking with everybody. How many people out there just feel that they've got to continue to brag or something about their brand? I mean, do you really feel that your brand is better than any other brand? And if so, then just let us know. Let us know why.
Well, I think, Chuck, there's a fine line between bragging and reality.
Yeah.
Right, because I've had let me tell you, I've been in a situation where this piece of junk, you want to throw it out, right? So yeah, there's a fine line. If all cameras were equal, then I could agree. But I've had some that's, you got to be kidding me. Now you're packing up and me and going south. You're on a trip, you paid $10,000, and all of a sudden the camera packs up on you. You got to be kidding. Right?
That's but that's where the fanboyism starts. Is people will not acknowledge that. It's no. They'll never let you know that they had an issue with their camera brand or anything else, and that's fanboyism.
Tell me about it. I mean, like this, like for example, this I seen Diana just about rip all her hairs out of her head, right? And then you go, and then I know people like, and you tell them, it says, hey, what the heck is going on? My wife's just going insane, right? And then they tell you, well, maybe you ought to do this or do that. I said, buddy, $10,000. It's like buying a Cadillac, and you're out in the Arizona desert, and he says, well, it's starting to overheat. Well, just turn the air conditioner off and roll down the windows. That's how much sense it makes. I said, wait a second. I'm buried in this 50, 80 grand, and you want me to turn off the air conditioner and just roll the windows down.
And don't forget to turn the heater on. That cools
Oh
the
yeah,
motor off.
and by the way, turn the heater on. That might cool the engine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good analogy. That's great. Kevin says he joined late, but he's saying his favorite camera was a Polaroid. But see, I thought that was a slice of bread. I shoot Canon now, but there's no bad camera in 2023. Brand loyalty at this point is irrelevant. Man, I agree with you 100%. So you guys are coming up with some great definitions of, or not definitions, but responses to fanboyism that we see in the photography community now. And I know a lot of people say this all the time, but how come more and more people don't recognize it? And we can get away from the bashing of other brands. It's okay to pick on your camera brand if something happened and it didn't function right. That's okay. You don't have to hide that. You can actually tell people that. Or if, as a whole, brands, when I see brand, I'm not just sticking to cameras here. We're talking support, factory support, brand support. We're talking glass and many other things, so why again do we have to go around picking on everybody for what they shoot?
Well, Diana, why don't you tell everybody about Leica support?
Oh, okay. Don't get me started. No, I think brand support is very important. And one of the reasons why I went into Leica earlier is that, I did have a brand support from the brand a lot. And that was great. But I think maybe, I'm not sure, I may be wrong. The strategy of that company is changing, and then they are more moving towards the brand, the luxurious brand, instead of a photography equipment. So I think that when that happens, when people buy the camera like a M11, and just hang around the neck, and doesn't really shoot, use it for shooting pictures, but it becomes a status symbol. And that's when I have an issue with that, because I think it is, it is a high price item. And it was a high price item for good reasons, because the lens quality is very nice, like a lens quality. And I cannot deny that. I bought Leica because of the lens quality. So it is very nice equipment. It's a piece of jewelry, in its own. So, but then when the strategy of the company changes, so I'm not sure. I have issues with the SL2 when I shot that in sub-zero temperatures, and then the menu just become uncontrollable. I cannot shift the menu. I cannot change my settings. And then the battery has an issue. And this problem I have reflected, to Leica many times, and then that has not been resolved. So that is frustrating, very frustrating.
Okay. Is it rated to those temperatures? I'm just wondering. Does Leica rate this camera function down to
Yeah, I think they did. In all fairness, I think they did it like 0. But when we were shooting, it was sub-zero. So, that could be an issue. And in fact, I think apart from the Nikon, John Z9 Nikon, I just love that camera when I was in Mongolia. I wish I had that camera. And you cannot kill it. I attest to it. I saw it. We were in minus 25 degrees Celsius. I don't know how many degrees in Fahrenheit.
Right.
But it's really cold. And John's Nikon camera, it's just like nothing. The battery life lasted for like 2 to 3 days.
Wow.
It's just amazing camera.
Did you have your Hasselblad with you?
I did have my Hasselblad with me, and also it kind of actually have some funny things that happened to the Hasselblad. At that time, I have my 907 with me,
Right.
and because for 907, the focusing, is at the back, the screen. You touch the screen to focus. And
Okay.
can you imagine, like in sub-zero temperatures, and you touch it, and nothing happens. It
Uh,
won't focus, and there is no other mechanism that you can focus. There's not a joystick here where you can focus it. You cannot change the focal point. So
yeah.
that was like, also another frustrating point.
But
when-
again, I don't expect that a lot of people are shooting with that camera in sub-zero weather.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay.
So
All
in
right.
all fairness, yeah, the camera is not made for this kind of shooting.
Right.
Mm.
Okay. Well, it's interesting though. But you're talking about Leica didn't help you out at all with any explanation or any fix to the problem, or
I actually emailed them a long time ago, and then the explanation is that the problem cannot be fixed.
oh, okay. All right.
What happened is that, once it shoot, if you shoot high speed shooting, and the battery have only 2 bars left, the 4 bars full, and you have
Right.
only 50% of the battery left, you cannot press. There's an error message. So what happened that day, I brought along 4 full battery, and at about 10 o'clock, I start shooting. By 1 o'clock, I could not shoot anymore
Oh, okay.
because each battery is half full.
Oh, just the cold had depleted the batteries, I guess.
No, they have a battery issue.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that the battery is not, if it is half full, cannot support high speed shooting.
Okay.
So that was quite frustrating because that's when John hear me, I just want to throw the camera down.
I remember John was talking about, he didn't specifically tell the whole story, but he was talking about that Diana was pretty upset in Mongolia on one of the shoots. Well,
Yeah, that was frustrating.
so Photo Me Ike, this is a great statement too, Ike. Thanks for this, man. I kind of see where Tim's coming from, but it's more than that. And I would agree that there's a whole lot more to it. You're right. But humans have the need, love to be part of something, to belong to a camp or a family. So the wars are an extension of us against them. You're right. You're absolutely right. And where does that put people that shoot multiple brands, though? How do they hate themselves or whatever?
Oh, easy. I paid this much for this.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, man. You're right. I agree with you 100% in that too. There are a lot of people that join because they go to these forums and they'll go to, let's say, go to a Canon forum, and they become a Canon lover because they're in the forum. And then all of a sudden, and you'll notice this a lot with young shooters, new shooters, and you guys can weigh in what you think. But with new shooters, as soon as they buy a camera in that brand, they go to those forums, and all of a sudden they're the biggest defenders of the brand. And they really have no life with the brand yet. But this goes along with what Ike's saying, is they become part of a family, and now they're going to defend the family, the Canon brand or the Nikon brand or the Fuji brand or Sony or whatever. And I think that is a big reason that we get a lot of fanboyism out there. But you know what? And I'll be honest, I did give Sony a hard time in the beginning. I'm not going to lie, I did. And I wasn't defending Nikon, Canon, Nikon, either one. I preached as being better than anything that Sony was doing when they began. But I'm so glad Sony stuck it out, because they did bring something to the table that we've needed, and that's video. And I believe in video. So, all right.
But
You guys jump in here.
Some of it's justifiable, Chuck, because if you've never used the other brands and you start spouting off, okay, I understand that. But me, for myself, where I spent good money on a Sony with a lot of money with lenses and stuff, and it doesn't work, I think I have the right to make noise because, hey, it's my money. They didn't give it to me, you know, and then I'm not getting the support I need from the back end.
Yeah.
I can say whatever I want. I can hate it or love it. It's my money. So, you know, I think I'm
Yeah.
justified. So if I have a good experience, if I have a good experience on a product, then I'm going to shout about it. If I have a bad experience, I'm going to bang table on it, because it's my money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's
I agree.
that's the way I look at it. Now, if somebody's never tried it or anything, I can understand. Like, I understand. I know Sony people, and especially the company. Those guys are relentless in marketing. They're the best. You can't top them. They got so much money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's endless. I mean, you get free. You go to a function and you get free 12-year-old whiskey as much as you want to drink.
Yeah.
No, right,
Yep,
right,
yep.
Diana. We go to Sony. We went to a Sony function. My God, I mean, they got Nikka whiskey imported from Japan. All you can drink. You go to a Nikon event, you're lucky to get the cup of noodles, right? In the old Canon, in the old days, every time they have a function or a lunch, they'd have this big spread at a hotel. So of course you're going to go to a Canon event, man. They're going to feed you like a king. They don't do that anymore, but they used to, right?
Yeah.
So the money behind these fellas, you can buy whatever you want. Now I think Sony is pretty smart. The managing director of Sony, he comes out here and he invited all Leica users to come to the Sony event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Why?
That's been on my rant for a while, John, is Nikon's marketing, and this is why a lot of Nikon people don't like me, because they don't want me talking. That's the fanboyism going again. They don't want me talking, they're saying anything negative about Nikon. But I got to tell you, Nikon's got a lot of room for improvement on their marketing and on their and on their decision making on what product to release next, in my opinion. But that's why I rant about these things. And Photo Me, I just had a comment up there by him, and I want to kind of piggyback on that. Well, I was going to, but oh shoot. Oh, so when I do all these rants and things like that, and I'm happy when Sony came out with the A7R4, A7R5, and Canon came out with the R7 and R10, and even the R3. I'm happy to see Canon do that. I'm happy to see Sony do that. I'm happy to see OM with the OM1. It doesn't get a lot of glamour, but a lot of people are really happy with that camera and the glass to go with it. And I'm happy to see that Fuji, with the on the video side, and the what is it, SR52 that just came out. I think that these are great accomplishments, and we should all be happy that they're doing it, whatever camp you're in. It's not that those brands are blowing away other brands. It's the fact that other brands have to become more competitive, and we all benefit from that. So I'm happy. I'm still saying this: Canon, when they bring out the R1, that camera is going to blow people's minds. I'm sure of it, and I don't care. That's good, because it just forces everybody else back to the R&D to pick up the pace and one up on the next go around. I don't know why we can't see that. Instead, we want to run cameras into the ground as soon as they come out. It's junk. I understand that marketing specs are crap half the time. It's just, subtle lies about capabilities and things like that. But, it's all, we all benefit from it. And again, I don't know why we feel like we have to bash somebody else's brand. And you see it all the time. And there was a comment, here Tim says, I get that, Ike, but the maturity of YouTube community is more like cults drinking Kool-Aid rather than being a family. And that is true.
Sure.
That is absolutely true.
Yeah.
As John takes a swig of Kool-Aid there. Right on time, John. So anyway, and again, that's what I really wanted to talk about tonight, and I want to get the audience involved more even, and I want to know what you guys think. I know that most of you are voicing your opinions. We've got 47 people interviewing, and Tim brought up something earlier. I got to pause for the cause. Hang on a minute. My wife bought me this for Christmas, so I have to show it. Here it is.
Don't forget to like.
Okay,
Very
got it.
good.
I'm just showing you my Christmas present. Nothing intended with this.
Very
So-
good.
If you would, please like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And I appreciate the likes more than anything. I really do, because it just keeps me motivated to keep this going. All right. Sorry, I had to get that out of the way. Tim brought it up, and you're right, Tim. I'm in trouble because I didn't do it at the very beginning. I'll have to make it up again later. Let's see.
But when it comes to brand loyalty, what I do to all of my cameras is I cover over the brand name. And
Okay.
I do that on purpose. It's like, this is my Olympus. Notice you can't read Olympus on there. But at the same time, you can read Nikon on the side.
Yeah.
And I've done the same thing to my Z9, my D850. I did it to them all, because I don't want to advertise a brand. I refuse to use a camera strap from the brand. I don't want to advertise at all, because I figured it's my camera. If I want to say what it is, I will. If somebody asks, I'll tell you what it is. And I bought them all for purpose. It's but my Z9 has gotten me spoiled, because it's just too simple to use. Like the autofocus works on the Aurora, if you can believe that.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, and I thought I was doing good for my D850 to work. There's one night I was shooting the Aurora and had some tree branches in front, which I had done on purpose, and it was focusing on the tree branches at about 1 o'clock in the morning. And and the only reason why I realized it did that is because I forgot to turn the autofocus off, because normally I manual focus. But like things are getting better, and it's like I'm just surprised with what the cameras can do, and coming up with firmware updates. Like the Olympus has been coming up with firmware updates for 2 and 3 year old cameras, which is really nice. I had to send one away to have the camera strap put back on, because I did a YouTube search, and it's going to take the technician an hour to do it, because they got to take the body apart and everything, just shy of taking the sensor out of the camera to put the camera strap back on, which I figure is a bit ridiculous. But when I got it back, it was like new. It was a 5 year old camera, and it was so clean and whatever. I don't think it was that clean when I bought it. And they updated the firmware and everything.
That's great. That's nice.
Yeah, and I had experienced this with Nikon service, and other than one of my lenses having two serial numbers on it, it works good. I got no complaints about that. As my software sees one serial number, and when you look at the lens, you see a different one. But anyway. But other than that, I've got no big complaints. It's like everything else works. I treat my photography as an experiment, and if it works, great. And if it doesn't, what did I do wrong, and see if I can improve it.
See, and I'm completely different. I shoot, well, it's a bad photo. No, it's not my fault, but nobody's going to see it. I'm just kidding. I shoot until I find what I want, and that's how it goes. And again, I'm not worried about what anybody has to say about something I select that I've shot. I'm happy with it, and that's all that matters. It's nice though if others do find it appealing. I think that's wonderful, but that's it.
Hey,
All
Vahagan's
right,
got a
so
question for Diana.
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm not there yet. I was looking through the chat.
What was it?
Vaughan says Diana thinking of getting an M11. Your thoughts on that in the Q2?
Oh, okay.
Because you got an
I-
M11 there behind you.
I did. Oh, that's it. It's the M11. I actually had the Q2 before I bought this one. Then I sold the Q2 and bought this M11. I really like it in the sense that because it is a different way of shooting. Everything is slow because it is manual focus. Q2 is autofocus, but you cannot change lens. So I find that Q2 is quite restrictive because you cannot change lens. So there are certain images that I cannot create with a Q2. So even if you get closer and you work closer to the subject, it's not the same. So this one is like driving a manual car, instead of driving an automatic. So it actually makes it fun, to shoot. But another thing is that some people do not really like the color of the M11 as compared to the M10 or M10P series because the color is more vibrant. I feel that it is a quite highly contrast. The color is more contrasty than the normal Leica camera. So you will have to bear in mind that this camera, the pictures that comes out will be a little bit different than the usual, M series camera. This is my personal opinion. But if it compared to Q2, I think that the color is quite similar because it's a bigger sensor camera. Yeah, so I mean this is for me is a personal preference because I like it small and it's easy to carry. And sometimes when you go out, you don't want to bring a big camera with you. And just like sometimes I shoot with my iPhone. I think the iPhone is great because the best camera is when you have it, when you need it and you have it right there. So like I saw that there's someone like the Polaroid, small camera, little Olympus camera is fantastic because of the size and it's not restrictive. So this one is challenging. It's not like a Q2. Q2 is quite easy. Then you can focus more on the image making. You don't have to think about the technical side. Now, this one you have to think about it, the technical side, the focal length, and then the autofocusing, zoom focusing, that kind of thing. So that's the difference. It depends on the photographer, what you prefer, what you like.
Thank you for the explanation.
But back to your question just now, today we're talking about, brand loyalty. I think that, I actually have that when I started out photography. I really are loyal to one particular brand. I'm not as bad as that, I would attack other people for not using a certain brand. But, I will be very loyal to one brand because of the brand support that I get
Right.
from the brand camera. This is very important, the brand support. And then, but as one progress with the photography and it becomes more mature, then, and in 2023 now, all cameras can do amazing things. And
Yes.
there is no difference. And it depends on the person, the photographer themselves. So I don't know. I mean, like in Asia, maybe they attach a little bit more of a status symbols to a certain camera brand, you know. But I
Right.
don't know about America, whether is it true that in America they have the same feelings because I hold a certain camera. That's why, I'm a better photographer. Do they have that?
Well, in America, Leica is seen as a luxury brand, and having the little red button, Leica button on your camera, everybody likes to poke fun at people that carry Leica cameras, but there aren't as many Leica cameras seen in the wild here as a lot of places, or at least I haven't seen them. Others may chime in with what they've seen. But it's pretty divided as far as camera brands here, and I want to bring up something you said. There's nothing wrong with brand loyalty. Nothing wrong with that at all. As long as it didn't come at the expense of fanboyism, where you are now running other brands into the ground. You should be loyal to your brand and keep that brand going. I've talked about this before. I want to mention it right here while we're talking about that. The funny thing is that Japan supports all their corporations. Japan doesn't want to see any one of their, let's just say, camera manufacturers go out of business. The camera manufacturers, I'll assure you, and I'll use the CEOs. I don't know if it's that specific, but probably have lunch or dinner once in a while together. They're not as antagonistic between the actual corporations as we are as consumers, and we are so much worse than the manufacturers. You don't see the manufacturers doing anything that we do as the consumer to bash the other brand.
Oh, they never do.
Yeah,
Never.
And-
Never.
and-
That's a sin, mortal sin.
yeah. But man, we can carry it to the nth degree from the consumer side of the house, and especially here in America. I don't know how it is in Asia. Is it as bad? Is what we described as fanboyism? Is it as bad in Asia?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it? Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty much worldwide.
Well, I guess there goes my chances of fixing it tonight.
Well, my Chevy truck is way better than a Ford, but that being said, I'm thinking about getting a Ford.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to it's kind of similar to that. But Japanese companies on the whole are very, very patriotic. Extremely patriotic. It's all for the common good of Japan. And yet they're very highly competitive. Very, very highly competitive. But at the same time, they are holding hands.
Yeah.
For the greater good.
Yeah. We have some industries that are like that in North America, and we have others that are the exact opposite. Like I work in the heavy oil, and when it comes to oil companies, they wouldn't give the competitors the time of day, but all of the oil companies, or most of them in Alberta, have mines, and miners are the exact opposite. They do whatever they can to help the other guy out. And for the miners working for an oil company, they got a problem because they're not allowed to talk to the guy across the street. Whereas if it was any other kind of mine, they'd be over there helping them.
Yeah.
And it just goes both ways. It's.
All right. Let's see. Looking at the comments real quick, folks. So I guess I'm gonna pose one more question, then we'll let it go where it goes as far as the show goes. But is there any one brand that's better than the rest?
Yes, but I don't know which one.
Hey, can I mention something about Olympus?
Yeah, please.
I Olympus is unfortunately really lately is kind of behind the 8 ball here. And what's happened, and especially in this area, is that when Olympus, the company, let go their imaging department and gave it to OM Systems, um, Olympus users are very, very loyal and diehard users. They're very, very cohesive and very diehard. But unfortunately, it's very difficult for Olympus to get new market share. People don't jump ship from other brands to go to Olympus, and for them to get younger users is really tough, and therefore their market is shrinking, and their diehard users are starting to shrink as they see less and less support and less new products. The
Yeah.
OM1 that just came out with recently was a home run. You couldn't even get one; it was so difficult. But the next new model that they came out with is a real disappoint. And I don't know what they're going to do. This OM Systems now, Olympus, the company itself, well, they dominate in colonoscopy type equipment, right? In scopes. I mean, they're the gold standard for medical scopes.
Mhm.
So I don't know what's going to happen with OM Systems, and this is talking to former Olympus employees.
I know somebody that has the OM1 and he loves it.
Yeah.
Although he's still looking at a Z9.
There you go. See, there you go.
He was a Nikon shooter, then went to Canon, shot Canon for a while, and then he's honest. He says, "Look, I'm just getting too old to carry all this heavy stuff around, and I wanted something that's lighter." And OM came along. He said, "I tried it and I loved it." So he sold all of his Canon stuff, and he loves his OM1, but now he wants a Z9, and I told him, well, get one. I mean, that's the other thing. This is another thing goes on it's not a fanboyism thing, but in the photography camp, the minute you mention you're going to buy a camera, everybody asks you, do you need it? And do we have to need anything to buy something? Must I need a Z9 to own one? I say no. And I think that's another thing. I think photography got too technical. Everybody looks at it from a professional standpoint all the time instead of a hobby and art and everything else. And, it's none of our business what people buy. The only advice I would ever give anybody if they said, well, I'm thinking about buying the R3 or the Z9 or the A1 is, as long as you can afford it, man, get it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask if you need it.
Yeah,
there
you go.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Diana, why don't you show some of your pictures so that people can tell the difference between Leica and Hassie?
Okay. Well, maybe in a moment, but I saw one comment here, which I really agree. The comment from Jet Photo is that each brand has strengths and weaknesses, but what gets you out there to shoot? Fuji did it for him or her, and he or she has used the Nikon, Canon, Sony, etc. So I think this is a very important statement, because I think whatever camera that gets you out to shoot is the best camera.
Yeah.
I fall in love with my camera. So to the point that I like to hold it, I like to take it out, even if I don't shoot anything, and I just want to be with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of passion, that the camera that gets you fall in love with a certain camera. Any brand, to me, that is the best camera that you love.
Maybe I'll turn into a camera, Chuck.
You're right, Diana. But the thing about it is people are always asking us, especially people that are new to photography or just starting into photography or whatever, and they're going to ask, "What should I buy?" And now that we've been down the fanboyism route here in the conversation, what advice would you give to somebody if they came to you and said, "Hey, I'm really thinking about photography, and I'd like to get into it. What brand should I look at?" How do you approach answering that, Diana?
I always think that if someone is new, then you try to get what you can afford and what you like.
Okay.
You look at your budget and you try to get. I tell you one story that is very interesting, and this story happened last year when John and I visited Bali, and we were in a festival in Bali. It was an amazing festival, and I was shooting with my 907, the Hasselblad, and there was this young kid, young Indonesian man who came up and said, "Oh, can I take a picture with your camera?" Because he loves it so much. Now, that camera is outside his affordability.
Right.
And so then we became friends on IG. And he told me lately that, he's going to get a job to work in a cruise ship in order to afford the camera that he desires.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does he really need it? He's a good photographer. He shoot very nicely with, I think with a
Sony.
Fuji, a Sony, with a Sony. So he wants to have the Hasselblad camera. That is his aspiration. He wants that. I don't see anything wrong with that because it is good to have a desire that push you forward. And I don't know whether at the end he took up a job working on a cruise ship in order to earn the money to pay for the camera. But I think it's better than someone that doesn't have a passion and wasted the time on stuff.
Mm-hmm. No,
So
yeah, I agree. And that brings up another conversation that, people talk about how much money do you have in lenses or camera bodies or whatever. And I could turn that conversation around. How much money do you have in large screen TVs, cars, watches, boats? Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So, why do we always have to go down that path also talking about how much we spend on equipment or whatever. And I didn't mean to take away from your point, but I've got a comment here. I'm going to put it up on the screen, Diana. And this is Ike talking about, and I'll let you, you'd be a good person to answer this. Or the only people that I've heard Leicas, say Leicas have a special look are the people who own Leica cameras. I wonder why that is. Actually, I know it's because they spend too much money to say otherwise. Is that true, Diana?
well, it depends on how you shoot. I would think it depends on how you shoot. Yes,
Yeah.
Leica has a Leica look because of the lens and in the algorithm with the camera together.
Mm-hmm.
So if you shoot it correctly, it does have a very interesting color scheme that you might not be able to achieve that, using a Japanese camera
Okay.
without, working on the Photoshop. I did this is actually not from my experience, from another, friend, and he was using another brand, and then he wants that color scheme. And then he was very good at Photoshop. Then he can actually achieve that look, but after layers and layers of tricking on the Photoshop.
Right.
Leica they said that they have a Leica look. I would think that it depends on the photographer.
Okay.
It depends on the photographer, how you shoot it.
But you believe that it does have a different look?
It does. It have a different
I
color.
couldn't say because I've never shot a Leica, so.
Yeah, I mean, if you have shoot like Hasselblad will have a different look, and I think each camera have its own. Like Fuji have totally different.
It's funny. We've been saying that about Nikon, Canon, and Sony for the longest time. The different looks between the three. So why couldn't Leica have a different look too? I guess.
Yeah, Sony has its own color gamut. He has his own color scheme. Nikon has it. So I think different color, and Fuji is totally different. You can tell. Just looking at the raw file. I mean, you compare raw file to raw file, not the JPEG.
Yeah, and So Ike follows it up with, I think all brands have their strengths and weaknesses. So I can't say one brand is objectively the best.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%, Ike. I agree with that. And I keep saying it, and I'll say it again. I don't think that you can buy a bad, when you're buying, I'm not talking about buying old or whatever cameras, whatever brand you were to go with, I don't think you can buy a bad camera today. I think all are doing so well. I really do. It's just whatever suits your one
Yes.
wallet or pocketbook. And here's something the only advice I give anybody in buying a camera, if I'm going to suggest, they say, well, what brand should I buy? I honestly believe, if they could just go and hold the cameras in their hand with their eyes closed, because you can't buy a bad camera. Just pick the one that feels the best in your hand, because that's the one you're going to really enjoy. And beyond that, maybe the look of the the aesthetics of that brand, and that's it. Because you're not going to buy a bad camera no matter what brand you decide to purchase. That's my thoughts. I don't know how you guys feel.
Like for me, Chuck, for me, I buy the camera that expensive because to me it is a reward to myself.
That's nothing wrong with that.
After a year of working hard, I work very hard. So I always use this as a reward. If I can achieve a certain sales this year, this is
Mhm.
I'm going to reward myself with something like that. So this is a reward system to me.
I think it's fantastic. And I've talked to people about that. Younger folks, they kind of look down their nose at us older, older
Geezers.
folks. Because, they say, well, you can go out and you can buy all this. You're rich. No, I'm not rich. It's just like you, Diana. I save for what I want. And when I was their age, I was building a family, taking care of a family, and I couldn't do this. So I didn't do it then, but I'm doing it now. And everybody else is going to have that same opportunity. Don't think it's always been this way. It hasn't, and as you grow, you get through the family part of everything, taking care of the kids, and kids are up and gone. It makes a difference in your life and what you have as far as financial, what am I trying to say here? Not security, but the ability to actually go out and buy the things you wanted back then, but you couldn't buy. And I'm with you. It's a reward to myself after saving and working hard to be able to get it. So there you have it. I agree with you 100%.
Exactly, Chuck. That I wanted to get a Hussey and all this stuff, all this expensive gear, but I lost millions with the FTX and crypto. So I blame everything on Sam Bankman-Fried.
Oh man,
I just couldn't resist.
Oh man.
No, some of these kids are making huge money off this. I don't know what they do, crypto or dipto or whatever, and lose it all. And so some of them make easy money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of us had to work as a dishwasher when we were at that age.
Yeah, Vahagan just talking about Photography Discourse, who is in the chat, by the way, folks. Go check out his channel. He just started his YouTube channel not long ago, and he's building it right now. He's got a lot of good conversations that go on over there, and I'd recommend Photography Discourse. It's Baron.
Who is that?
It's Baron is his name, but the channel is Photography Discourse. And by the way, it's in the thumbnail, or it's in the description below, so you can always check there and click to go right to his channel. Jay Smith, why don't I recognize your name, Jay? Have you been in here before? If not, welcome to the channel. And we have all kinds of conversations that go on here. We're consistent, so we can have these random conversations. We don't have to stick to specific topics, but tonight we are talking about camera brands.
Jay says something not interesting. This Minolta, they were the cutting edge. Let's be honest here. In the 70s and early 80s. I mean, heck, didn't they have the first autofocus camera?
I don't know, but I've heard that. I've heard people speak of that. Roy, where you at, Roy?
Yeah, just when we need him. Where is he?
Yeah. Where you at, Roy?
He's talking to Albert.
Well, Minolta, that's a big point here because who bought Minolta?
Sony did.
Yes.
And why? Because they wanted the technology that they
Yeah.
had.
Yes, it was a great jump start for Sony, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. As an Olympus user, there you go. As an Olympus user, I will disagree. Their market share is shrinking. The OM1 is second in sales of all camera manufacturers. I don't know that we said anything about that, so it must have been something that was said in chat.
No, I mentioned it because it was my friend who he was a former Olympus employee.
Okay.
And yes, and then the OM1 is exactly second in sales. It was doing gangbusters, but that was the OM1 when it came out. But the next one preceding that was where the issue is, not the OM1.
I'm missing the testing going on over here, Vahagan. What are we testing? I've seen a few of those. Oh man, and I haven't been keeping up with the chat as much as I typically do. Robert's talking about anybody see the marketing videos for Panasonic's S5 II? Yeah, I mean, yeah, and a lot of people are raving about the camera, and it's almost not in anybody's hands yet. But the reviewers are definitely gaga over it.
It's video centric, and
right.
I'm not much in the video, so.
But you're getting there.
Not really.
Isn't he, Diana? He's getting there, isn't he?
What, video?
Yeah.
Video, no.
Yeah, he is.
Well, your video and sound are much better tonight, John.
Someone asked you about your video, your camera that you use. Oh,
you mean the webcam I'm using now?
Yeah, what's he using?
Well, it's just I don't know. It's a what do you call the Z6 with the Nikon utility? It's probably running out of fuel. Oh, I got a bit left.
Yeah. But that's video.
Yeah, but as far as making videos, I don't know. I'm not very good at it.
There you go. Ray says the Z9 is too expensive and far too complicated. I mean, that's for his use case he's talking about. I don't think he means it's too expensive, period. But because obviously, Nikon pulled a fast one on everybody with the Z9 as far as the cost. But I understand what you're saying, Ray, especially if you're on fixed income. Yeah, it's probably a bit too much. And I know you said earlier that you're still using your D3500. Nothing wrong with that at all. I'd love to see you maybe Nikon to put something out there this year that maybe you could afford if you want to upgrade it all. And I don't know if it's an upgrade. Maybe it isn't to you. I
bought a D1X, somewhat 20 some years ago, and that was $6,500. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge money.
Especially when it came out, that was big money for a camera.
$6,500 D1X. What year was that? 2001, 2, something like that.
And you compare that against how much money you're making per hour.
Yeah.
Versus the Z9, and you do the same comparison, and they're almost giving away the Z9. Because when I bought my Nichromat EL in 74, it was $500, and I was making $4 an hour.
Yeah, see?
So there's 150 hours before taxes.
Well, and the D3X was $8,000 retail.
Yes.
For a 20 megapixel camera. But of course, at the time, that was state of the art high megapixel. Wow.
So in real dollars, camera prices have dropped.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jose, OM1, like I said, and I've been telling folks, I've been talking to Lee, a friend of mine, and he fell in love with the OM1 when he bought it. Bottom line, Leica is very expensive to own. The good lenses are up there in price. So that's the way everybody that's those that are have a family, maybe have a child or two, and they're looking at the possible cost of the Z8. I'm just thinking from Nikon's point of view, or the cost of the Z9, and they're thinking Nikon cameras are very expensive to own, and the good lenses are up there in price. So, I mean, it's relative to where you stand, in life as far as your finances go. So the same could be said for the Z9 and the all the lenses that are coming out now. But I understand what you're saying, Vahagan. Yeah, it is pricey. But again, it's one of those things that, and I know you're not saying anything negative about it. It's one of those things that if you can afford it and it's something you want, then you get it. And there's nothing at all wrong with that.
Well, I want to just mention something about Leica M lenses.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on where you get in on the program, because we have about 8 or 9 M lenses, and we got them at a very, very good price because my good friend retired and he's getting older and he just didn't want them, so we bought it from him. So we bought them at prices that are very good. And then if you check on eBay, oh my God, there's no way I would buy a new one. You're looking at $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 for these lenses. I mean, you'd have to be on glue to buy it today. It's just like the Rolex watch. I bought a Rolex in 1996 for $2,500, and now you look at secondhand, they want 25,000. It's a greater fool theory, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. So as far as an investment piece, if you buy it right, you're going to make money. And I don't think there's any other lenses out there that appreciate in that kind of value.
Yeah.
So as far as an investment piece, yeah, if you buy it right, it's worth huge money.
Yep.
On that angle, but I wouldn't. There's no way I'd spend, $5,000-$6,000 on a secondhand lens that's 22 years old. But that's what they're going for.
What is the 50 MC?
You mean the Nautilus?
I don't know.
I don't know. Who here used the 50 MC? Oh, it's the Nikon 50 macro.
Oh, okay.
I got one.
Yeah,
it's only like $200 for sure. It's great.
Oh, maybe that's where he's going with that. That 40 millimeter Nikon's supposed to be a fantastic lens, considering the price.
Oh, it's awesome.
And and there we go with lenses. And I'm not familiar with that. And that's why I say I want to get some Canon guys in here, some Sony guys in here who can speak to the brand better than I can. Whenever I reference something, it's going to be Nikon because that's what I'm familiar with. But I know that, Canon has some great, reasonably priced lenses, and so does Sony.
I used Canon before. I bought a whole Canon system, but that was years ago, and I'm just not familiar with it. It's good stuff, but I'm just not, I can't comment on it. I just don't know enough about it.
Hey, Ray, you know what? You are correct. There's a lot of technology in cameras today, but I wouldn't say that. Well, yeah, I guess I could. There may be people, because you can't buy it without the technology anymore. You don't get to build a bear and pick what you want. So there may be things that you wouldn't use today, but you can use, and we were talking about this a while back when we were going through the AF issue of what's best, what works, is Nikon better, worse, or whatever. You can always go back to the fundamentals, which I've done, and that's go to single point autofocus, and bam, I'm right back in the ball game without having to mess with any menus or all the, different possibilities for AF there are. And I guess then the next point that people would complain about is, why do I have to pay for all that if I'm not going to use it? I can't answer that question. It's just one of those things. Times are moving on, and this is what we get. And, we have to be happy with what's coming out. I'm looking over here. So, Diana, you were going to show us some of your photos, all right?
Okay.
No, I mean, I'm not going to put you on the spot here, but if you,
Maybe I can show a few photos that I took in our trip to Mongolia,
okay,
and some of the pictures I took with my Hasselblad. But
okay,
I'm reading the comments here. It's quite interesting. Yeah, I think one person mentioned about Robert Daniels Voigtlander. I want to say something about Voigtlander lens on
please.
it's amazing. I mean, like we were talking about how expensive the Leica lenses are, and I want to say that you don't have to use exactly the Leica lens. There are other manufacturers that they make really amazing lens. Voigtlander is one, and John has a Voigtlander 50 mm f, I think 1.2, and
1.0.
the 1.0, yeah, and that is really amazing. I also paired the M11. I use a TT Artisan lens too initially, and this is a Suma, this is a Leica lens. But before John bought me, this is my Christmas gift from John. And before that, I used the TT Artisan lens, which is made in China, and it only costs about like a few hundred $US, $200-300 and it does the job. So I think that there are alternatives. If you want to, if you like the feel or the look, the simplicity of the camera, but still you don't have to buy Leica lenses. There's so many other options, and you can buy adapters. And if you don't have a Leica camera, I have friends, they use a Fuji camera, and then they buy an adapter, and then buy the second-hand Leica lenses and adapt to the Fuji camera, and fantastic results.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up TT Artisan, because Vahagan just did a review on a TT Artisan lens, and he was pretty impressed with it. Excuse me. And Albert Jimenez, who's in here, he is an adapter king. He's adapted all kinds of lenses to all kinds of cameras. So yeah,
It's fun.
It's fun. It is a
Yeah.
lot of fun, trying to mix and match different cameras mix and different lenses. And then you can create your own style of colors that you want.
Remember that time I put a Nikon 70-200 2.8 on my M10?
Oh, yeah.
That was wacky, man. That was really wacky, but it came out nice.
That had to look strange too.
Oh, it was really odd. I said, I got to try this. No, because it was it was a Leica event, and I didn't have a long enough Leica lens, So I asked the Leica guy, I say, hey, can I put my Nikon 70-200 on this thing? He goes, yeah, sure, why not? So I got a $20 adapter and put this 70-200. The oddest looking thing. Hey, it took great picture.
I'm so far behind in the comments, but I just ran across Ike's comment here. You were talking about the gentleman that was going to join the cruise line to work on a cruise line. And Ike says he's going to go around the world 80 plus days. Yeah, it may take a few trips around the globe for the Hasi, but if that's what he wants, he'll work for it, I guess.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
Yeah. And like for instance, I use Sigma lens. I bought a Sigma 150-600 mm lens, L mount, and then matched that with the Leica SL.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic because Leica doesn't make the long lens for the L
Right.
mount.
Right.
And I was able to get interesting results from that lens. So that's another way to do it. You do not have to match everything with the Leica lens.
That is the nice thing now too, and I'm not plugging Nikon here. I mean, although Nikon's the only one that can do it right now. I'm not saying that to brag, but you can adapt any lens, almost any lens made
Yeah.
to the Nikon Z system now, which is pretty amazing. I think Canon would be next, and other mounts maybe not so much, but I know it with Nikon. And this was Albert was just talking about this recently. Albert, you may chime in again. I don't know if there are any lenses that you've come across that you could not adapt to of the Nikon Z mount. Let's see. Yeah, I will agree with this too. Robert's talking about you're blind if you don't see the Leica look versus other cameras. It's like Fuji has its own unique look, and that's right. I mean, I can't speak to the Leica, but I can speak to the Fuji. Yeah, they do have their own look, and I like the colors in Fuji. Maybe some people don't, but I do. Okay. All right. All right. I'm jumping all the way to the bottom, folks. I'm so sorry if I missed your comments. I've been trying to keep up, and I am so far behind. You got to be kidding me. It's embarrassing how many comments I had to jump past. Sorry about that. All right.
Yeah, Chuck, I'll make a quick comment here. Is that the camera store in Calgary? They do an awful lot of Canon videos, and they'll have 200 or 300 people on there, and we have more people in the chat than they do. And I don't know if it's because this group is much more talkative and but they're way more interactive than the Canon people are. Maybe they're just sucking it all in,
Yeah. How dare we be engaging audience and commenting? Shame on everyone. Oh man, Tim.
It is great to see the comments and have all the discussion, and like I'm just trying to sit here and read to keep up, and I'm having trouble.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it's a great community that we got going here, and it's all because of you all. And with that said, I'm going to put the shameless shirt up.
You better move your microphone. Yeah, that's better.
There we go. There's my Christmas present. That was my Christmas present from my wife. Please honor her gift giving. All right. Thank you, folks.
Yeah, without her support, Chuck wouldn't be here.
Exactly. That is absolutely true. Without her support and, of course, M&Ms. Got to have M&Ms.
Yeah, I don't think you can buy that big a bag of M&Ms in Canada.
Okay, that's sad. I hate to hear that.
They got Chinese New Year M&Ms here.
Oh yeah.
All the little M&Ms are dressed up in Chinese costumes.
Yeah, we saw that the other day.
That's why I took a picture and sent it to you, Chuck.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's right. Man. Yeah, Ike. Yeah, she got me there. She asked me, she said, "Are you going to wear it on the show?" I said, "It's like 68 degrees in the house. I'm not wearing a t-shirt. I'm sorry. I'll wear it in the summer, but I'll put it on the chair and make sure that I always pull it up for everybody to see." No, she loves me. She supports what I'm doing. As long as I'm having fun, she loves it. So, and we're going to keep having fun. So that's what this channel is all about. It's about you guys, the ability for everybody to interact. And there's so much chat that goes on. So many questions are answered in the chat. There's sidebar conversations going on. I think that's wonderful. I love it. If I pick a topic, we've stayed on topic longer tonight than we've ever stayed on a topic on this channel, because usually you guys drive the topic, and I'm okay with that because somebody came up with the term. It's a photography bar. Everybody just shows up, sits around, brings their own drink, and we just get in here and chat and talk about things. So I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do, and bring a friend. Let's build a community. Let's make it even larger. And by the way, while I'm on the public service announcement for AP Studios here, anybody can be on the panel. If you have the means to stream, meaning you have a laptop with a camera in it and a built-in microphone, if that's all you have, you can still be on the panel. And all you have to do is send me an email and I'll send you a link. This is for any show and any show that's going on. If you let me know, I will bring you into the panel. We can have up to 10 people in here. I know it sounds confusing, but it seems like the more we have, the more fun we have. And you guys are more than welcome to get on here and speak your mind. Of course, we have to keep it civil, but but you're more than welcome to come on and have a good time. All right.
And if you got an itch, scratch it.
Yeah. Vic says tonight's drink, Cider Boys Apricot Crush.
What's that?
I don't know. It sounds interesting though, doesn't it? What is it, Vic? I mean, I know it's apricot something, cider something. Sounds interesting. Oh, an interesting question. Jet Photo asks, who do you think develops the first stacked medium format sensor? He says Fuji will, but who knows? A stacked medium format sensor. Wow.
Well, it's got to be a medium format camera company to bother to develop that.
That's why he said, he expects Fuji, but you've got Hasselblad too.
What about Sony?
You think Sony will go medium format at any point in time?
I think so.
Do you?
Mm.
Well, a lot
They
of
make
people were
a lot of sensor, right?
right.
They
Well,
only make it.
a lot of people were expecting or hoping that Nikon would do that because of the mount size, 55 millimeter. It would, I guess you could put one of these newer medium format sensors in the body. But I don't know. I don't think Nikon's going to do that anytime soon. Who
The
knows?
lenses. You gotta create a whole new line of
Well,
lenses.
there you go. That's absolutely right. Or
And
you
the
adapt. Or you adapt, I guess.
adapt what?
Well, I don't think that'd be a good way to go for a company to build a medium format camera body and say, go use everybody else's lenses. Probably not the best marketing, but so Vahagan wants to know, do you own a Tri-Elmer lens?
This is one lens I'm looking for.
No,
I would love
no
to
idea
have
what
one.
that is.
It is a lens. There's like they have three. It's 18, 35, and 50. It's one lens that you can actually change the focal length. So when you go out, it's very convenient.
It's not like a zoom. It's not like a zoom.
Yeah. I don't know whether they still make it or no. It's just old lenses.
I think
It's like literally having three lenses.
Yeah.
I think Vahagan's Googling lenses on Google to try to stump Diana.
Pretty tough to do.
I have used it once before because my friend has one and he lent it to me. Yeah, 28, 35, 50. That's the one I used.
Seraphin says he wants the Voigtlander APO 50 equivalent in M4 thirds. Mm-hmm.
I had the Apple Voigtlander. That thing, I sold it because it was too sharp. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
It was so sharp. It was literally tough on my eyes. It's just,
He didn't put some Vaseline on the front element.
well, I should have.
Yeah.
And we're constantly bringing that up about all these lenses that come out today. Everybody's talking about how sharp. Yeah.
Speaking of Vaseline, right? You want to hear a story?
Sure.
David? All right. Years ago, this photojournalist friend of mine, we were covering I think it was an F1 car race. This is about 20 years ago. And there was a lot of these hotshot photographers from Europe, right?
Yeah.
And they're bringing their big dog lenses and stuff. And then then they would push their way through with the local photographers who are not as aggressive. They work for the local papers. So they all carry their 600 Canons. And those days, Canon dominated any kind of motorsports. So anyway, speaking of Vaseline, so this guy, I don't know where he was from, Germany or something, started being aggressive and pushing his way through the podium and and it was knocking my poor friend, and he's just the small Chinese guy, right? So he goes, "Oh, sorry," and then he says, he's telling me, "John, in my pocket, I always carry Vaseline." I said, "Why?" Because he says these fellas, they never put their cap, the rear lens cap, back on their lens, so they're always hanging. Right? They hang it off their shoulders because they're using multiple cameras. So he says, sorry. And he has Vaseline on his fingers. And as he's doing that, he gently sticks his finger in the back of the guy's lens and smears it on the rear element and walks off. Sorry. And he says, "Good luck trying to get that off."
Man.
That was a great story.
Yeah, it is. Oh, especially in the middle of a shoot like that too.
Oh my! Can you imagine trying to get Vaseline off the rear element of a 600 mm?
Oh man,
That's terrible.
Mm.
Terrible.
Mm.
Oh, the stories I have.
Well, Joe Man's Land's in here tonight. Everybody say hi to Joe. Joe's another one. Go check out his channel. He's very entertaining. He tests. Here you go. I was just going to say, Diana, that he tests a lot, or he plays with a lot of, off-brand or Chinese lenses, cheap lenses, cheap used lenses and things like that. And when I say cheap, I mean affordable cheap, not no good. Joe Man's Land, and that's the name of his channel. You might want to check him out.
Sure.
Joe, I'm glad to see you in here. Oh man. But he's always looking at different lenses too. Vahagan too. I know you know who Vahagan is, and of course, John keeps up with Vahagan, but always has. He's always looking at these lenses too. TT Artisan, which you mentioned, and what are the others? There's several out there now, Chinese lens makers.
I just bought lately a Chinese lens, the Lao Wow.
Yeah.
A shift lens.
Okay,
that
the new shift.
The new shift lens. Oh, yeah. I love it.
Do you?
Yeah, because I always want to have shift lens to take architecture photography.
Right.
And then usually I think Nikon make the best. Is it the best? They make a very good range of the shift lenses.
Yeah.
But I can't use it because I didn't have a Nikon camera. So I bought the Lao shift lens, not very expensive, very affordable. And then I tested it, and that was so good. I really like it. It's really sharp, and it does the job just perfectly. I can get a perfectly straight building.
So I never, John, you were playing with that in the camera store, weren't you, or somewhere? That
No,
lens.
we went out on a event by the Lawa
Okay,
distributor, so he was showing us how to use it. But Diana is really good at it because she knows how to. I don't know what to do. What is it? You do stack it or something like that?
me either. I don't know
I
either.
don't know.
Yeah,
Well, you stitch
you
it
have
or
the
don't.
yeah, there's the stacking in Photoshop, and then you take different section of the building, and you can shift it at a different angle, and like it's quite interesting. So you can actually get a panorama photo by shifting the lens and take 4 pictures, like up and then like diagonally, and
Right.
put them together.
So the only thing I knew about tilt shift, I knew that it was for that. When I know that this is just shift, but tilt shift was to be able to straighten angles and things like that on buildings or whatever. And the other, which I thought was cool, the only reason I would have bought one is to make that miniature effect. I've seen people use them from a high point, a vantage point, shooting down into an intersection, and it makes all the people look like they're, I don't know.
Toys.
Yeah, toys. Yeah. I think that's cool.
Yeah, it is.
Not worth buying a tilt shift lens for me, though. Oh, let's see.
The interesting thing with the tilt shift is you can have a focus area that it can be any direction that you want in your picture. And you can really play with what is in focus and what's out. And they, like Diana likes to make her building square, but you can do the opposite also.
Yeah, John, you dropped that comment, and that's worthy of conversation too. The Russian lenses are very cool, getting hard to get. I didn't know that. Are they getting hard to find now? Is there some?
Yeah. Hey, back in the day, they were so cheap. You could, the Soviet lenses.
Yep.
Oh, they were great. Like a knockoffs, and they were really. You could get them for like $10, $20.
Yeah, and Vahagen just reviewed one of those lenses not long ago, didn't he? I can't remember, Vahagen. What was it? But I know that Vahagen's reviewed a bunch of different lenses here recently.
Yeah. He went Maven on that.
Hmm.
Oh, he's asking me a question. Did you cover the Malaysian air tragedies? Oh, can I comment on that a little fast?
Please.
Okay. I'm glad he asked that question because back then on May 17th, I think it was like 2017 or something like that, when Malaysian Airlines MH17 disappeared that morning, right? I go, the whole 777 is gone. How can it just disappear, right?
Yeah.
And me being a news hound, I could smell a story on this thing. I said this story is not going to end. So I called a friend of mine who wanted to be a photojournalist. Okay, and I was mentoring him, and I called him, and I told him, "What are you doing?" He says, "Oh, I'm having a beer with my friend. I'm hungover." I said, "Hey, get your ass out of bed, right? Get your camera, and you go down to that airport, and do not move for 10 days. You stay there, and you live there." And start taking pictures. And every single picture you take, you send it to me and I will edit it for you. Okay. Do not, I know I know you're hooked up with AP and you're there with their staff photographer. Do not give those pictures to them because they're going to spike you. Okay. Why are they going to spike you? Because your pictures will probably be better than theirs. And if you do that, they're going to spike you. So you give it to me. Let me photo edit it. All right. Let me edit it. Once I edit it, I'll give you an approval and then put it through the wire. Okay. Because it's highly competitive, Chuck. So you don't want to
Yeah.
get dogged on this, right? because if it's a better picture, they're going to spike it because they want theirs on the front cover.
When
This
you
is the
say
biggest
spike it, what do
news.
you mean?
Spike means it's a news terminology meaning kill the picture.
Oh, okay.
All right, they'll kill it.
Okay.
It's an old journalist terminology. So then I told him, you sit there, you start taking pictures, I'll edit it for you. And he started doing that. And then he started getting front pages, New York Times, blah, blah, blah. And I told him exactly what to do. And then he started getting jobs from, other agencies. So it really helped his career a lot. But it was an interesting thing. So anyway.
The photojournalist in you never dies, John.
Well, because I want to help this kid out, and I know what's going to happen. They're going to dog him.
Yeah.
You can't trust them because it's very, very competitive.
I wanted to throw this comment up here from Albert talking about Bronica Nicor. I mean, you guys may know. Best lenses Nikon ever made, maybe?
I don't know. I never heard of this. That's cool.
That's what I love about the chat. There's so much experience and expertise and knowledge over there in the chat room, in the community. You're going to have to give us an example. You're going to have to show us, Albert. You're going to have to come on the show and show us, man.
Oh. Jose is asking whatever happened to that plane. Well, it's in Davy Jones's locker. That's all I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Roy says there were many bad Russian lenses too. So
yeah.
I can't imagine that. No. What was the old saying? Never buy a car that was built in Russia on Friday or whatever. I can't remember. There was some joke that went along with that. Or
that's the thing. The Soviets made all these lenses to spy on the United States. I mean, our pictures of the Cuban Missile Crisis, hey, they were sharp as heck, right? Because we're using Zeiss and Leica lenses made in Canada. But those Rusky jobs, they're a bit foggy. They're probably having some fun drinking, some vodka.
Moving down the line. All right, folks. You know me. It's about time for me to go to the little boy's room. I'm sorry, Diana, but if you'll queue up and get your photos ready when I come back, let's share some of your photography with the audience.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
David, mind the store. Don't let anybody burn it down. I'll be right back.
Okay. While you're gone, I'll talk about my camera selection criteria.
All right.
Okay, great, David.
I'm going to toilet.
It's I was out this morning shooting the sunrise, and I had two cameras out, and one thing I like about my Nikons is I can program them so that they just keep shooting away. So I come up with 11 things is really 10, but this is for picking your camera, and there's questions to answer, and it doesn't really matter which brand that you have. But the first one I have is, what do you want to shoot? And you got to be very particular about this because some cameras are much better at certain things than others, but nobody will ever tell you which better. And then there's, what kind of photography are you thinking about? Because this gets back to the same thing as some are better than others. And right now my Nikon camera is not keeping up. And the third one is, what camera brands do your friends have? Because they can give you a hand, because you're always going to need a mentor, because there's no way that you can figure out everything by yourself unless your name is Jeff. And also to go along with number 3 is, will they lend me their equipment? Because before you put your money on the table, you want to check out some of this stuff. You want to try it out and see if you like it, because if you don't like it, leave it in the store. The next one I have, is there a place where I can easily rent or borrow equipment to try it out? And this gets back to number 5. You want to try all of this stuff. And then number 6 is, do you have a short, medium, and long-term budget? Because you never get everything in one go. And I don't care how much money you have, you never buy it all on your first purchase, because you got a second and third and fourth. And there's number 7 that Chuck really likes, is the equipment that I think that I want available in the time frame that I require it, like my 800 PF. Where is it? And there's the 400 and the 600 and all of this Nikon gear that they announced. Where is it? It's probably sitting right beside the Z8. But anyway, the next one is, where do I go to find a mentor and or training and coaching? Because this is very important. Because it gets back to, you're not going to learn everything on your own. And if you have a coach or a mentor, you're going to learn so much faster. It's somebody looking over your shoulder. And there's number 9 is, are my expectations reasonable? Well, that is extremely hard to answer. You're going to have to get somebody to talk to, and over a glass of whiskey or a gallon of cider, and figure that out. And then number 10 is, what am I going to do with the final result? Now, if you're going to print this off into a 24 by 36 and you're going to examine it with a magnifying glass, you need much higher resolution than if you're only going to post it on the internet. It's the stuff that I post, it's only 1 or 2 megapixels, and I'm using a 47 megapixel camera. So what's happening to the other 5 or 45 megapixels? They're kind of... And the last one that I have is, what do you want to do that you can't do on your phone? Because phones are getting to be more and more capable, and there's an awful lot that they can do. Because I've got a friend of mine, she shoots her RAW on the phone, and well, they're acceptable for a phone. They're an awful lot better than some stuff that I've seen. But maybe you're better off to buy a phone here. And as Gustav wants to know, did you get a photo of the green comet? And no, I didn't. I'm not too sure when that was, because lately our weather at night has been either cloudy or foggy or something else. And so I haven't been as lucky as I normally am. And it's just the way things are going here. It's I'm just looking at the comments here. And Tim Hunter wants to know how many points for camera bingo. Maybe what we're going to have to do is add for number 12 or 13 on the list, is you put down 6 different camera terms, and every time one of them is mentioned, you can get 3 points. And that'll help. But the big thing is you're going to have to keep track of your own score, and it's and that after the end, if you think that your score is the highest, you can always send it in, and then we'll either say that's good or that isn't, and you get a whole month of bragging rights. And if you talk to Chuck Wright, he could even mention it on the notes for the next one of his podcasts, whatever, saying that you got this many points on the photography review for the one the picture that you took on your Sony iPhone. Oh yeah, there's no points for using. Yes, there are points for using an Apple phone for your camera because it has P's in it. Okay,
Oh.
you missed this discussion a while back, Diana. We're rating our photography on a point system that has to do with your camera brand. Depending what letter that's in the name, you get points for it. But you also lose points for being late submitting it to Chuck. And
Thank you.
Yeah, you lose 20 points for being late. and if you're only a day early, you lose 10 points. So you want to be between 3 days and a week ahead, because if you're a week ahead, you get 10 points, or 10 or 20 anyway. But then you got to hope that Chuck doesn't lose your picture. But
Yeah, I'm getting better at that. I'm doing better at tracking everything that comes in. On that note, on the photo review, real quick before we move on. Well, I have to say goodnight to Seraphin, who's taken off. Scottish Festival and games to shoot tomorrow. Wow, there you go, David. You were just over there a few months ago, right?
yeah, I just missed it.
Yep. So on the photo review for February, we are this is going to be a straight out of camera review. So, and you know, everybody's on their own. Everybody has to manage themselves, and you know, as far as the photos that you submit. But I want straight out of camera photos. I mean, the only thing I want you to do is, of course, reduce them to 2048 pics on the long side. But I think it's going to be fun to see what people do straight out of camera. We're not going to make fun of anybody or anything like that, but this will force everybody to slow down a minute and compose as best you can so that you don't have to crop. And let's see what kind of settings you find in your camera that you can use to make the best photo. So JPEGs straight out of camera. That's going to be the photo review for February. We're not going to pick a specific topic or anything, whatever you want to shoot. And I will say this, in February, we'll do that. And then we'll do another one maybe in March where we do a before and after. Everybody will get to submit 2 photos, one straight out of camera and then their edited photo. And on that event, we're going to select one. It's going to become the header for the AP Studios group on Facebook. So there you go. You got something to look forward to. Your photo will be on the header for Facebook. All right. More information coming on that. I'll put it all in the description, not on this one, but on the next live stream. Put it all in the description. We'll talk about it, and we'll be prepared for February. All right. That said, Miss Diana, are you ready to share your photos? And how do you want to do this? You can.
I can I share screen?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that.
All right.
All right.
And when you do that, I'll open it up on this end after you go. You hit
okay, I
share
have
screen.
some security and privacy thing.
Oh, here we go. Yep.
What is it actually? I have to.
That's on your computer. It's.
Let's me if I can. Okay. Okay. I unlock. I will not be able to record the contents. Oh, I have to quit and no later. All right, let's see if I can do it. Just want. Okay. Oh, unable to share the screen. Please update system permission to allow screen recording.
It's going to be in your security
Okay.
for the computer.
Okay. Well, okay. Why don't you guys go ahead first? Let me just
All
figure
right.
it out. Yeah.
All right. I
I
got
wish I
something
could
stabbing
help.
me in the back here. Let me
I
see
wish
what
I
it
could
is.
help you out, but
Yeah. That sure is uncomfortable having that behind your seat there, Chuck.
It keeps nudging me in the back.
Yeah.
I missed out. Tim was kind enough to mention it to get me to get up and for the first time. But yeah, folks, if you enjoy this, please like and share, or like and share. Yeah, that's fine
you got a
too. But
merch
like and
department?
subscribe.
You got a
I'm
merch
sorry.
department?
I'm getting ready to have one. I can't have it yet on Nike
Oh.
or on YouTube until
Oh,
I
you
hit
can't?
that. No, until I hit that 1,000 subscriber thing, and they authorize me to. But yes, I am going to do some merch. I'm going to do some shirts with some of the fantastic sayings that people have come up with in our streams.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's certain restrictions you have to live by until you hit that magic point of 1,000 subscribers. So that's all I'm trying to reach. I hit that and I'm happy. After that, I don't care.
No, you're not that far.
No, but I've been stuck where I'm at for quite a while, or for a few months. So, and you know, YouTube is nice about reminding me of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They keep telling me how close I am constantly, but not there yet. So we're trying to get there, folks. We're trying to get there. Maybe we'll do some T-shirts and things like that. Diana, you take your time.
Did
Yeah,
you
I'm
see
still having
Vaughan's?
some issue.
Did you see Vaughan's video this morning? It was so funny with her dancing.
Yeah.
Dancing.
He's knocking it out of the park here lately with his videos. I think they're
Yeah,
fantastic.
they're great. They're funny.
There you go, Tim Hunter. Here's another one. We shoot pigeons. I think one of the first. Let's see. Check the Facebook page names, or we can see more photos. Okay, you know what? I need to change it since I just changed the name. Let me type it in here. It's really easy.
Do pigeons go good with grits?
AP Studios group on Facebook. And everybody that would like to, join that, by all means do. I think we have about 100 people in there now, and constant sharing of photos, and it's a lot of fun. You get inspired by everybody's work. All right, Diana, I'm going to pull this up and let's see what we got. Let me see.
Can you see anything? I'm having some trouble getting the screen share.
If you've come this far, the only thing you have to do now is pull your photos up, I think.
Okay. Let me just try again.
Good night, Jeff. Jeff and Leslie. Hey, guys, thanks for being in here. Always good to see you. And if you want to check out Jeff and Leslie's YouTube channel, it's in the description as well. All you have to do is click the link.
Oh.
I still have some issue sharing entire screen.
I'll tell you.
Is it the system? I have to update my system permission.
Okay.
Is there any other way?
You on a Mac?
Can I email you the file?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, because it is in a PowerPoint.
Oh, okay.
Would that work?
It should, but it's probably going to be rather small if it's in a PowerPoint document, because it'll pull the whole document up, or I can pull the whole document up.
Yeah. Let me try to email you, see if it works.
Okay.
Okay. That's me.
Daryl, good to see you. Well, we've talked about everything as usual, but we talked about camera brands, fanboyism, what is it, and brand loyalty and things like that. We're trying to fix YouTube all in one shot. All right, Jose, good to see you in here. Hey, thanks for dropping in, man. Always good to see you. It's good to see everybody in here. Every now and then I find a name that I didn't recognize, and I think that's a good thing. So, what was I going to say? I get sidetracked here looking at the chat. So yeah, absolutely enjoy everybody that does come in. We've had quite a few people come and go tonight. And just so you guys know, you'll see the count up at the, well, I don't know if you guys can see it or not. Maybe you can't. No. Yeah, you can. You can see how many people are watching. So that number tonight, we were up above 60, and I think that's fantastic. I understand everybody's not going to stay for the full 3 hours or however long we go. And that's fine. But I typically have about 250 people that come through the stream while it's streaming. And it never reflects that in any of the counts. But my point is that I know that there are a few things that I need to do, and you guys will have to bear with me. When we start the stream, I realize that there are a lot of people that come in and they don't care that, I'm going through the list. Hello, Ray. Hello, Joe. Hello, Frank. Hello, Nancy. Hello, everybody. I've got to kick it off with something a little more interesting, and then we'll get into everybody that's in the chat and everything else. That's one of the things that my stepson was telling me. There are a lot of people that click-through rate is not as good as it could be. So in other words, I have 200 people that show up, and I need to be able to manage this so that they understand that if you'll hang around long enough, typically on this channel, it's going to get good. But we're always a little slow in our start. Did you find it, Diana?
I just sent the file to you to your email.
Okay.
See if you can pull up from your side.
Did you send it to Gmail or Yahoo?
Both.
Okay. Oh man, I got somebody in here that wanted to join. I'm gonna throw something in here real quick.
Hey, David.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of this company?
No.
They make it's a company in the U.S.
Yeah.
that kind of competes against RRS. Really good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I was contemplating about some astrophotography, and my entry-level gear for me to get in was going to be $10K. And it's and if I did make it out for 10 nights during the summer, it's going to take an awful long time to pay for it. So and that was to buy a decent telescope that I could put my D810A on, or else get a separate sensor. And if I got a separate sensor, that'd be another camera brand. But anyway, so I haven't gone that way yet because I don't have a whole pile of money burning a hole in my pocket. Because right now I'm waiting for my 800 PF, and that's my budget for this year. But maybe there we go.
You go.
Picture.
There you go.
Here you go, Diana.
Finally, sorry, David.
That's okay, Diana. I like seeing pictures of cameras.
Sorry. Oh, finally.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's the That's a camera I took to Mongolia with John, and that's the Hasselblad I use. And took a photo of it in front of the glacier. And this is the time when you touch the back of the screen and it will not respond.
Oh,
You can imagine that. And then apart from that, that's the second picture. How do I move the?
oh, I have. You want to see the next one?
Yeah, the next one. Oh, you have to control on your side. And
Yeah,
that's
I'm
that's
sorry.
the Leica that I bought with me, and also have problems. So this is the time when I really want John's camera. I want to steal his camera. And so, okay, some of the images that I took from that, the third image is in a low light situation of the eagle hunter inside his home. This is using Hasselblad, the 907.
That's a beautiful photo, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm going to bring
So
Joe Man's Land in, guys. Go ahead, Diana.
right, and then maybe we can do it quickly, and then the next one will be this. When I was
Well,
shooting this, and then I turn around and then saw the image of the next one, the light coming from the side of the window, and that was pretty awesome.
so
The
that's all
light,
natural light.
all natural light.
It's beautiful. How
Yeah,
much
and
editing did you do on these, if any?
uh, oh, in the contrast in the curve, the S curve, and then also
Okay,
to also decrease the highlight because it's very bright
right.
coming from the window, and
Well, I mean,
that's
how many stops of dynamic range are we talking about here? Considering it was dark in there and sunlight coming in the window, that's
yeah.
incredible, though.
Yeah, I need to bring out a little bit of the light on the man's face because you can see that he is not really in the light.
And
But
as you guys can imagine, we're seeing it three times uh, removed from the original, and every time it's gone through a step here to get on the screen here, it's lost something. But I'll tell you, I'm looking at it on the screen, and
mm,
it's fantastic on on my 27-inch monitor.
yeah, this is a difficult picture because of the very bright highlight, and
Right,
then uh, this is when I feel I like the Hasselblad or the medium format camera because you can pull the highlight and then you can lighten the part without actually affecting the integrity of the picture because
right,
there's many megapixels you can work with.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is one of the picture that I quite like. And then the next one, we can see another shoot of, I mean, Hasselblad camera, and this is beautiful in low light. And the room is so dark, and the camera is still able to pick up the light that is reflected out of the lighter colors.
You know, there's a lot of information in the photo, even in, I mean, being so dark. The shadows are
Mm. Mm.
fantastic.
And
You
then,
really nailed the focus as well. This looks really nice.
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Wolf's asking, how did you set your exposure?
Usually I will shoot a bit under. I shoot manual, everything manual,
Right,
and then I will shoot a bit under because I'm afraid that the highlight will be blown out. Then
right,
usually when I come back and I shoot raw, because when you shoot raw, you have 16 bit of colors, which is a lot of color information. So
right,
when you get back to the Photoshop, and I use Photoshop for my post editing, you'll be able to recover the brighter. You'll be able to get the darker area a bit brighter without changing the whole pictures, so much. You can actually use a little brush, to brighten out a little bit of the darker area, and then move the curve a little bit, and you'll be able to see this beautiful range of color. This is when you see the beautiful dynamic range, of a
Right.
medium format camera. And in fact, actually, just now David mentioned something about, you shoot a medium format camera, and then when you post it on social media, it's less than 1 megabytes, right?
Right.
So where's the rest of it? It actually, you don't see the quality of the camera until you print out.
Right.
When I see the print, then I really love the camera that I have, and I'm willing to pay a lot of money for this camera because of the quality of the print. So, for instance, I have actually one print out, and then I want to show you that.
I'll tell you, man, you guys are so fortunate to be able to travel like this. What a fantastic trip that must have been. Because, John, you had a photo that you had posted way back when, right after the trip. And I'm telling you, it was a photo to be printed. And that was the one with the horses, I think, coming across the river.
Oh, yeah.
The dust, the spray, everything in that photo just made it. It was just a beautiful photo.
Thanks.
Yeah. And John and we were shooting the horses, and they're really amazing, very exciting shoot. And this is one of the print that I have printed out, one of the photo that I took with the Hasselblad camera.
Right.
And then when you look at the photo, and then you can see the details, and
Yeah.
this is when the medium format camera is so beautiful. I'll just put it down first.
Yeah, Roy says 16-bit helps, obviously.
Yes.
Fel M says they look like movie scenes, and I agree. I think they're beautiful photos. And Vaughan says he loves the tones in it. I agree. And this is one somebody might ask, well, wouldn't this be, or would this be nice in black and white? I don't know. I like the color in this, especially in this photo.
Yeah, sometimes it's very hard for me to decide whether I should change it into black and white, but I always love colors because.
No, I agree. Man, the eagle in it is just, it's beautiful. Again, folks, if you could see it on a large screen, it's just absolutely beautiful. And I'm sure it looks even better in print.
Okay,
Diana,
well,
quick question for you. I know with
Yeah.
some medium format cameras, the focus could be a little bit hard to nail. Like I have a buddy that shoots GFX, and he says like unless it's on a tripod, he can't get it. So I'm just wondering with this image, like you nailed the focus totally. Was it manual? Were you on a tripod? Like what was sort of your setup for that? Because it looks awesome.
Yeah, thank you. This is, you asked a very good question. It has to be on a tripod because of a high megapixel camera, medium format camera. In order to get it sharp, you have. I usually put it on a tripod, and I usually shoot it with at least f8 or f11. I don't want the bokeh at the back. I don't want to shoot like f 3.5. I want it sharp. From front to back, because this is how what I feel that medium format camera should give that beautiful sharpness and tone.
No, for sure.
So yeah, so maybe we can look at the next one.
Yes, ma'am.
Again, I can't control here. That's this little girl, and then it is the same setting, and the light is very beautiful on her. This is all natural light. I wish I had another light on the other side, but when you're traveling, it's very hard to carry all this gear, especially to remote areas. Sometimes you try to do the best you can with the gear that you have.
Well, I think you've done a fantastic job. This is Nat Geo worthy, and that's what it reminds me of. And a
Thank
story about these eagle hunters and their families.
Yes.
That's great.
I mean, to get to this family, it took 2 days to get to this place, and they are in a place that is so remote. I mean, we drove at least 1,400 miles on dirt roads and potholes and just even no roads to get to these places, and this is the way they live.
That's
and
fantastic.
you're carrying all that equipment that failed, and then you had to carry it back.
Someone say, well, a reflector would help. Yes, it will probably help, but I didn't have it with me because we have to reduce our gear to the minimal because we have to take the regional flight, and we have restriction of the weight, and also when we have to put all our luggage, all our clothes inside a jeep, and there's so much equipment that we have to take,
Right.
just to survive in the wilderness and in the remote area. We have to bring food, cooking utensils and all that. So we try to reduce everything to the bare minimal.
Yeah, that's difficult to do.
Yeah.
You didn't forget any battery chargers, because I could see that would be something I'd forget, and then there I am with no batteries.
Yeah, battery is always the issue. That's why I really envy John. When he uses Nikon Z9, he doesn't have any problem with the issue with the battery.
Nancy's in here. Nancy, good to see you. She says beautiful photos, by the way. Mr. Wolf says he likes how Diana is not afraid of the shadows. Pictures are intense. They are. It's Nat Geo, I'm telling you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chuck, could you trade Diana's and my picture placement around so we're not looking at the words through her face?
And not look. I am so sorry. Yeah, I'll do that with me.
Thank you.
Well, you can do it with me.
Well, I'm trying to get it to move. I'll throw it right in the middle. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm the host. I got to take the blow for the team here. So there you go.
And Nikon is working well for John again.
Yeah.
There goes that super reliable Z6 battery, third party from Amazon. Just kidding.
Oh, wow.
Like, you make me want to sell my camera. Like, not even sell it. Like, I'll just go downstairs and I'll just throw it at someone that uses camera. And I'll just be like, that's it. I'm done. The dude on a rock with an eagle. Like, you could have totally shot this with your cell phone and it would have been epic.
Yeah. John did, I think. I think John has some photos on the cell phone on this one. Right, John?
Yeah.
So that's here it is, the eagle hunter in his environment, and this is where he lives.
He's perching like Batman.
I mean, it's amazing. This guy.
There's just nothing out there.
Nothing.
It's barren. I mean,
there is nothing. This is near the was it near the Russian border?
Yes, it's right between it's Mongolia and Russia, next like very close to Russia.
And that was during the time when they were doing this forced recruitment of young Russians. So they were like trying to pour across the border into Mongolia to escape the draft.
Wow.
Two questions, Diana.
Yes.
Well, this is for you and John both. Exactly what do they hunt out there? And before you answer, you can follow it up with, what did you shoot this with exactly, lens and camera?
Okay. What do they hunt? The eagle is trained by the eagle hunter. This is a Kazakh's tradition. And they train this eagle to hunt the small animals like foxes, wild cats, small animal, rabbits that runs around. And these eagle hunters would take the small animals for fur. They use it for their clothes. And so that is what they train the eagle for. Okay,
so there are foxes and other animals out there that they can hunt. I think that's what everybody's wondering, because it looks so barren and bleak. What could live out there as far as animals? So
Not
Yes.
much. We go in there wearing North Face, and they're looking at us like, "What are you guys on glue?" North what?
So Daryl wants to know, how do you plan a trip like this, John? How do you guys put this together?
Oh, easy. I'll give you the guy's name. He'll set the whole thing up for you.
Hey,
Piece of cake. I'll
send
give
me
you his
send me
name.
the info and I'll put it in the
Yeah,
description of
yeah.
this.
He's got a lot. He's got a lot of American photographer clients.
Mhm. And these are
Lucia,
golden eagles, right? Golden
Yeah.
eagles.
They're golden eagles. Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
he'll pick you up at the airport and set you up. You get your whole itinerary, exactly what you want.
Man, that's great having an expediter like that. And I know it's not a true definition of an expediter, but having somebody that will put all that together for you, that's great.
Yeah, you just show up. Yeah, not a problem. I'll give you his information. He's not
Yes.
that expensive.
Send it to me and I'll add it to the description for the stream.
And on a side note, like my brother and sister are both fishing people, right? They're really crazy about fly fishing.
Yeah.
So they came along and they were catching one day they caught like 40 graylings in the river.
Wow.
And they do extensive fishing in Wyoming and Montana. And they said, God, this place makes Montana look like nothing.
Wow. Well, I'm loving the photos. Do we have more, Diana?
Yeah, we have a few more. Maybe we can run it. This is another
Oh,
photo. This is
I love that the bird's looking right at the camera.
yes.
The bird's like, you distracted me. I'm hungry. Let me get out.
Let me mention her photo. Brian Huff's in here too. Good to see you, Brian. Let's see. I got to throw this comment up there. Albert says, Diana seems to be following the golden rule of classical medium format photography, which is to make sure that the highlights are properly exposed. Man, these are beautiful photos. And yeah, no black and white here. Don't want to see black and white because you've got such a plain background that the color explodes because of that.
Yes.
As little as it is. And this is all traditional dress. This wasn't just done for your benefit, correct?
No, this is their traditional Kazakh outfit.
That's so cool.
Yeah, the eagle is really cute because it has this cries like a baby. It's really attached to the owner. And these eagles, they kept that when they were a baby, a chick, and then
Right.
they keep it for only about 5 years, and after that they will release it back to the wild.
Did you ask them how successful that is? It seems like they become very well. They learn how to hunt. Obviously, that's the whole purpose of keeping them. But it seems like they would become very attached to the trainer or the person that has them. Did you ask them about that? Do they ever come back and visit? I mean, that sounds crazy, or once they release them, they're gone. They never see them again.
I didn't actually ask the question, but I haven't heard that the eagles will come back to the to the trainer.
Hey, you guys, if you have questions of Diana or John, drop them in the comments. All right, I got to go on to the next one. I'm loving these. Okay, now we get to the black and white.
Black and white was perfect.
No.
Now, this is the opening scene of the Eagle Hunter Festival, which occurs every year in October in a place called Banyan Oakley, which is the southwestern part of Mongolia. And in this opening scene, and then all the eagle hunters, the participants, will run around the arena one time. and then to show off their egos before the game starts, before the competition starts. So I was using, this is when I want to throw my Leica SL away, because I was using my Leica SL and then my Sigma 150 600 mm to shoot this. And then halfway through, that was like 2 shots I was able to get it. And then my battery went 50%, and then there was an error message. And I had only 2 photos.
Well, I'm glad to finally hear this story, because John had mentioned it early on, way back when he was talking about the trip and everything. And he talked about a camera. He said Diana was ready to throw her camera off a cliff. He didn't go any further, so I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear the story. Now we know.
Yeah,
I missed the whole shot.
That was the shot, and I was able to press like da da da, and that's it.
Wow.
That's all you need, right?
Yep.
That's all you need, Chuck.
Yep.
That's another one. That
The
is
camera got scared at all of them riding towards you. They were like, "Oh my god!"
Again, you know what? And this is close to sepia, but I mean, if you did this in sepia, it looked like it was taken 100 years ago.
Yeah, Cecil B. DeMille was there.
Yeah, because there's nothing in it that would give you any indicator that it's present day. I mean,
it's just like a movie setting, isn't it?
yeah.
I thought it was like a Hollywood production.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's real.
Daryl asks, were there several photographers there, or was it just the 2 of you?
Oh no, there's mass. They're from all over the world there.
Yeah, all
yeah?
over the world. Yeah,
Oh,
there were
my.
hundreds of photographers there. But the thing is, you need to know where to position yourself, because a lot of people, a lot of photographers, they stand on the side because they want to get closer to the hunters. I stay far away at the end of the arena and use a long lens to capture that, because I want them to run towards me and see their face and not the side view.
And this is what we were talking about earlier. Sometimes you don't have the lens you want. And a lot of people say, well, just make do, but you wouldn't have captured this shot if you didn't have a telephoto lens.
No.
Yes. This is when you have the right equipment, then it makes things much easier.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to admit, this is where Diana is very, very astute. She knows exactly what lens to use before the shoot.
Right.
She knows. And this is sometimes where I miss it. I get a little bit myopic and want to shoot too tight.
Mm-hmm. I would be that way too, John, I think.
Yeah, see?
Yep. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
And this is also a shot with a 150 600 Sigma L mount lens.
Okay.
This is a tight shot, and I'm actually quite far away. I don't want to disturb them. They were actually having some issues. This photograph was shot before the eagle hunters went into the game. There was a potential strike. They were not happy with the amount of money the organizers give them.
Oh.
So they refused to get into the arena. They refused to get inside. And they were negotiating with the organizers. And so that's why the face are a bit like tight and no smile, nothing. And because they're negotiating, I don't want to disturb them. And so I thought, okay, you use a long lens to get a close up, shot of the faces. So
right.
I think it's quite nice.
No, it's fantastic shot. And again, folks, you can't really realize how nice it is. And beyond just being on my 27-inch monitor after it's been copied and moved several times, I can imagine a print of this would be fantastic. Looking at it on the monitor, it's so much better than looking at the screen on the computer. Beautiful photo.
It looks pretty good in my monitor also. The nice shallow depth of field.
Again, here's another photo. it could have been 100 years. Well, no, not this one. A little cropping, and it could have been 100 years ago, just to get rid of the vehicles in the back. But I mean, other than that, the scene is, nothing gives away present day.
Yeah, these are actually this is the same situation. They're still negotiating, and that's why you can see the eagle hunters and the camel riders together.
Yeah.
Usually they're separate, and because they're all waiting at one place for the results of the negotiation. So they're waiting, and I took a few shots of this young man, very good-looking young man, and he just in one shot he happened to look at me, and I was able to capture.
You know, would be interesting. Would be interesting is I was talking to our guy, is to get these guys, these horsemen, and send them off to a rodeo like in Calgary or something.
Yeah.
And compete,
Yeah, I bet they would kick ass.
Or like,
well, I mean,
at the Stampede. No, they would do great.
because these guys, horses are part of their, that's part of their DNA, right? I mean,
Right.
Genghis Khan he conquered 20% of the planet because of a horse.
Yeah.
And a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these guys can ride like I've never seen before. But although their horses, of course, are a lot different than North American horses, they're smaller,
Right.
they're more stout, and I don't know anything about the breeds of horses, but it would be interesting to see how they do at a stampede in North America.
So Mr. Wolf says reminds him of Sebastian Salgado's Genesis.
Oh, wow.
I have no idea what that is.
Well, oh man, that's quite a compliment.
Right.
But yeah, again,
I'm not
fantastic.
worthy.
I'm sorry, I don't know. I have to look it up.
Oh, believe me, it's a big deal.
Oh, okay.
Another great photo.
I like how the snow is just frozen in the image.
Yep.
Yeah, you can see the snow coming down, right? Okay.
It's
Yeah,
great.
he's also waiting for the results. He get bored and get off his horse, and then waiting by the river.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Fell just said these would be great for a book. You don't have to tell the truth in it that they were waiting for the union boss to make a decision.
The
Exactly.
Eagle Union goes hard.
Who knew Mongolia had unions?
Yep. For eagle
The
hunting.
eagle hunters of unions.
That's
And
a
this is a
great,
young-
great deal.
This is a young
Local
boy.
175.
Young boy. There was also shot with a long lens, 150, 600 mm. I just like his skin tone. These are hardly edited photos.
Did you alternate lenses a lot for the shoot, or did you mostly stick with that 100 to 600 for most of it?
Because I usually change lenses, but that morning, the car was parked quite far away, and I only have one lens with me that morning. So I was not, but it was quite okay because they were negotiating and it was quite tense. And I don't want to disturb them. I don't want to get in their face and disturb them.
Okay.
I used a 100, 400
Yeah.
S lens.
and you got some beautiful photos too, John.
That's all right. Not as. It's okay.
Well, I don't know if they're as good as Sebastian Salgado's
No,
Genesis,
no. It doesn't even come close to that.
but Diana's are. So
Yeah. I think I'll leave.
So all you landscape photographers, what do you think? I love this. I love the light, and you've got an eye for light as well, and that's
Yeah.
fantastic, Diana.
Yeah, that was a shot in the evening, and we were waiting for the sun to go down, and then I was shot to see the moon right above the mountain ridge, and I said, "Oh, okay, that's his call." But it was so cold that day, I can barely stay out of the car. It was so cold.
if you guys can see my cursor down here, there's a village right here, some huts
Yes.
down here. So it kind of gives you an
Scale.
idea of the scale. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Great eye, Diana. Great job. These are beautiful. Here come the cowboys.
And these are the Mongolian horses, and he is a herder, and he belongs to another tribe. So that's why his outfit is a little bit different than the Kazakhs people.
This is
Yeah,
Eastern.
you ought to do a photo book for this, or a calendar, or something.
Yeah. And then there's another shot of the horses.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And then when they cross the rivers, and
Yeah,
when they come towards me, and it was kind of scary.
this is what makes the photo. And John has one like this. I don't know if you have one just like it coming up or something, but John, the one that you had was just, I thought it was phenomenal, with all the spray coming off the hoofs coming through the river, and the dust that was kicked up a little bit too on the bank or whatever. Man, you know, the only thing I don't like about that photo of yours, John, is I didn't take it.
Come along, all range.
And this is a beautiful sunset of a river from a lookout point on top of a mountain.
Yeah, this is the place that's great fly fishing if you're into fishing.
Vahagan says he loves the shots too. So I haven't seen them all in a row like this, but John, you have been posting them. Again, another reason for folks to follow you over on Facebook. You're always updating your photos there on your page. And there were some fantastic photos that you posted early on after the trip. But now we get to enjoy Diana, so let's keep moving. The sun on the horizon.
This is the one that I use a 600 mm to capture the sun, because I
was going
want
to say,
like see it against some trees.
No, it's beautiful, and you can tell is that, so you're shooting full frame? Is this with the Hassie or with the Leica?
This is with a Leica, and then the Sigma 150 600 mm.
Okay. Yeah, it's got to be a long lens to make the sun that big in the photo.
Yes,
yeah,
correct,
beautiful.
Correct. And that's
who is this dapper young man practicing to be an eagle hunter?
Yeah,
I'm throwing that because you can see his camera.
Yeah,
beautiful Z9.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the shot, the Z9.
Oh yeah, I love that extended battery grip.
I like it.
And John had the right number of batteries too.
And he's using his iPhone.
No reception.
Oh man. Oh, I like this too. I love the silhouette. That's cool.
So this one was after the first shot that I took. Then I said, okay, maybe we should put someone in there. That's why we asked our Mongolian drivers, like, can you get up to the slope? So and he was a good spot, So I took some pictures of him doing that, like a movie setting, and sent it to, he enjoys it.
Albert said, awesome shot, and it's the true definition of exposing for the highlights. Yeah, that's a tough shot right there.
Yeah.
But you did it well.
There's a black one.
Thought we're out of film.
So this is the environment. This is the environment. This where we were.
Right.
And, is there anything like this in the States that look like something like that?
Yeah, you'll find this out west on either side of the Rockies. You'll find terrain that looks like this. And where else, folks? I'm sure you guys know of other places, but Wyoming has vistas like this as well. I don't know about Colorado. I'm not sure.
Utah.
The big difference is between Mongolia and the States is this. I mean, I travel a lot through Utah and Wyoming and whatnot. There's no fences, Chuck.
Yeah.
There's no fences. So it's just continuously. So all the land is owned by the government because these nomads they're nomadic tribes, so they got to keep their herd, going from one pasture to another. So if you had fences in private land, well, it's just no way.
Yeah. So Albert had said Utah, and you already mentioned Utah. Rakesh says Death Valley.
Yeah.
And Nancy says, well, not in Alabama.
There's a few spots in Alberta as you get close to the Rockies that are similar to this, but to your point, John, fences, yes, there's always fences, small fences, but they're there.
You notice there's no. You notice that you don't see any, Walmart signs out there.
I know. Where are they? Come on, we need some of that branding.
Oh.
And
here's the artist coming out.
Yeah. This is more of an artistic rendition of the landscape, which I apply some motion blur.
So you shot it with a Z6 with the autofocus turned on.
So I quite like the color scheme.
I often catch pictures that I apply motion blur.
Yeah. Which is kind of fun.
It's what I say when I messed up. No, I intentionally wanted this with motion blur.
I'm an artist.
It would be hard to keep from taking these portraits. I can see it would be tough to not continually shoot portraits of these folks.
Yes, they're just amazing. We were in the middle of nowhere. I mean, the whole landscape is like the story, like Frozen, that cartoon. And here comes this man with his ships and his yachts. And it's just like, the character. I mean, he's just like, wow. It's like
that's the story behind the scenes, because you're standing there thinking, well, where did he come from? Because we drove, 20 miles to get to this spot. I mean, and there wasn't anything in that 20 miles. Where did he come from?
Yeah, and then suddenly he showed up. Yeah. I don't know where he came from. And apparently he was going from one village to another village, and he was carrying his cattle, his sheep and yachts with him.
In America, they'd be warning people not to go outside because it's too cold.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely not a baseball player.
You notice that there's no sign that says trespassers will be shot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, this is not Mongolia. This is Bali, which I took with a medium format camera, the 907. And this is when I changed the colors into black and white.
This is one of those photos you just want to keep looking. There's so much in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's, not just the light. The light's spectacular in it, but you're still looking at all the detail that's in here. The mask, the dress or the wrap for the little girl. And for some reason, and this is what makes it really interesting, is the wrinkles in her face. You want to look at them.
Yeah.
A lot of detail.
Yeah.
And then, and this is the color version.
Okay. And as much as I like the color version, I do like the black and white in this better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it keeps the focus on the subjects more. With the colors, it gets a little bit distracting.
Yeah. Because the wisdom and age in her face is fantastic, and it's not as prominent in color. So, yeah, but the little girl's face is beautiful in color.
She has this beautiful skin tone.
Yes.
She's a dancer. So we asked her if we can take some photos of her And actually it helps her keep the tradition going in Bali, because then they will continue to study the traditional
Right.
dance.
So, question: ambient light, or did you use a flash?
No flash here, just the light from the window, the side window. But I did
Beautiful.
actually do bracketing for this. I
Okay.
took shots and then do bracketing and then combine the exposure.
What about the haze? Was that like, did you have a smoke machine, or was there just naturally some smoke coming in through the window?
There was some incense. They burned the incense in the morning
Oh, cool.
for offering to the gods.
Beautiful.
And then when she danced for us,
Oh, okay.
yeah, and it is something related to the earth dance. She's supposed to be an earth princess.
I love that splash of light on the floor there as she leans into it. That's beautiful.
And this guy is a character. I mean, we bump into him in a music festival, in an art festival, and he's such a, he tells us a lot. He was actually educated in Melbourne, so he speaks very good English. So he told us a story about the mask dancing in Bali.
Mhm.
So, and then I asked him, "Can I photograph you?" Because he was has such great story. So then he said, "Yeah, you can." And I said, "Okay, I will give you the pictures, later on." So we arranged a place for him to go, and then we photographed this artist.
Well, I got to say something, Diana. You capture something in your photos, and I'm not just saying it to say it. You need you need a photo book or something to capture some. I mean, to show some of these photos that you've taken. Again, to me, I like a photo when I'm going to stare at it and I got to look at every detail. I got to find details. I got to look for details. I love that because you've captured them, and it's just fun looking around the photo, looking at all the things you didn't recognize the first time you took a look at it or whatever. I don't know how other people think, about it, but I like it, and I like this, the rainbow. I like the. What made you go with a sepia tone for a rainbow?
Go for what? I'm sorry. What
What
was the
made you
question?
go for this warm tone for a
The warm,
rainbow?
because
That's what it was, wasn't it?
it was that day. This particular photo is very rare because that day it just rained, and the whole Malaysia, a lot of places in Malaysia saw this rainbow, and the sun was hitting it at the same time during sunset.
Yeah.
And that's why you have this warm tone in the middle. And so I was able to capture it because I just had my camera with me on my hand with a 21 mm, and
Right.
this was captured by Hasselblad, 21 mm. So I was able to get the whole rainbow. If I had a different lens, I probably would not be able to capture this one.
Yeah, but you recognize the moment, and there it was, and you took a photo of it. I mean, that. What are the chances of seeing that again? And being in the right place at the right time with the sun the right way and having the right lens to take that photo.
Yeah. I mean, John can tell you the story how I broke my toe one day.
Oh my God.
Because you can ask him, so when sometimes I pay a lot of attention during evening and sunrise. I like the sunrise and sunset because
Right.
this is where the magic is for the sky. And then one time, I saw something lightning. I was like, in a hurry, and I ran into the chair, the leg of a chair,
Yeah.
and I broke my toe.
Did you get the shot?
No, and that was
Oh,
not worth it.
I had to take it to the ER.
Oh man.
This is the artistic side that I'm trying to explore.
so you got a boat here in the center,
Mm.
but how did you get everything else I mean, obviously
This,
you're moving the camera up and down or up or down.
yeah, you can do it two ways, but this one is just using the motion blur in Photoshop.
Oh, okay, okay.
You can also do it using but you have to take two shots. One is where the focus is, and the second
Right.
is blur.
Okay.
So you combine the two photos together, and then you put it out.
See,
Just
that's the fun. You're
yeah.
willing to experiment, and you're always trying something different. I love that.
So that's the black and white photo of the girl again.
It looks like a porcelain figurine.
Yeah, and yeah,
Again, your lighting. Do you just walk around? How often do you walk around and you don't have a camera with you and you see light that attracts you and you think, man,
yes, all the time.
yeah,
For me, lights is very important. So I always carry. That's why I have the M11. This is a small camera. I can just put it on my shoulder or anything.
right,
Sometimes if I don't have it, like lately, I shot one photo of myself in the morning because
yeah,
I didn't have the camera with me. I shot it with the iPhone.
hmm
So it still works. I mean, the phone is so powerful now, especially you can shoot Apple RAW. It gives you about 20 megapixels file. So sometimes when I see things that I wish I had my camera or my equipment with me.
Well, these are beautiful photos. Oh, that's it.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Diana, they're fantastic photos. At least I think they are. And again, every photo is appealing and it's worthy of just sitting and looking at more than just a few seconds. And to me, that's a success in any photo. If I want to stare at it for a few minutes and try to find everything in it. But I think they're beautiful. And Phil had said something about a book, and I agree. It would be nice, for you to maybe even think about a coffee table book between you and John of your trip to Mongolia. Biography says Leica look right there. A Leica.
Thank you so much. I mean, I hope it doesn't make it so boring for you guys.
No, I don't think anybody was bored. I think it's fantastic to see work like this. And, you got to show up on our photo review and enter a photo when we do that. We've got a few people. I mean, a lot of us we're happy to share what we have, but there are some people that have some striking photos, and I could see you being one of those that like, wow, there's an attention getter. We're going to spend a few minutes on this photo, which is what always gets us behind because we fall in love with the photo when we're doing the review and we spend way too much time on it.
Yeah. The only thing is there's no extra points for using a Leica.
There's extra points if you use a Nikon ZFC.
No, not for the ZFC. For Nikon, yes.
Phil says this was better than the Tech Talk, and I agree with you, Phil. I agree with you. But yeah, thanks for sharing them with us, Diana. You got some beautiful photos here.
Thank you so much. So how do I have to stop share?
Nope.
Oh, done.
That's it. You can stop sharing now if you want. I've just turned it off at this end, but yeah, Ray Powell, big hand claps for you. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I don't know if I want you to enter our photo review on second thought. I'm just kidding. But yeah, John, you guys ought to put together a photo book of your trip to Mongolia because you got between the two of you, you have some fantastic photos.
Well, what do I do with it?
I don't know. Give it away as Christmas gifts. Remember the old days when people would bring when visitors would come after your vacation and they'd have to sit while you went through all the slides. And here's Diane.
At least the photo book is cool. It's not like when someone brings you a shirt from some foreign country then gives it to you and you're like, I haven't gone there. I can't wear this shirt because you wear it. They're like, oh, you went to Timbuktu. You're like, no, F you. I didn't. Sorry.
So Gustavo says, thanks for sharing, Diana. Nancy says, beautiful, but I don't think I could handle the cold in Mongolia. And that, yeah, I understand that too, Nancy. Phil says, that was inspiring. Thank you. Now I have to start traveling a little. Yeah, and that's just it. Things like this do inspire us. And, I don't know that I'll ever be able to go to Mongolia, but now seeing the photos, I'd like to.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
that'd be nice.
I mean, traveling and photography, they go hand in hand, right? I mean, basically, that's how it kind of all invented.
Yeah,
Seeing
absolutely.
vehicles, 8,000 slides on a Kodak carousel.
Here
Right?
we
You
are in
remember
front
those
of the
days,
here
right?
we are in front of the water fountain, and here's Jimmy. He
Right,
was just
right.
coming out of the bathroom.
Here we are
Yeah,
in
you-
London, in front of the palace, and cha-ching.
You remember those days? I do. I remember my grandparents had friends, and I'd be with my grandparents, and they invited my grandparents over, and we go over, and lo and behold, here we are with a carousel
There
of
we
slides.
go.
Yeah,
And one of them, and half the slides are upside down.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And I'm just a young kid, and I'm thinking, man, why am I here? Why am I here to see this? Not interested at all. Those days. You still see parts. Some movies have depict that the old days of going to your friend's house. They had their vacation photos you had to look at. All right, but Diana, thank you so much for sharing them with us tonight. Sorry we didn't get to it last week. It's tough, and I think you sent something. I saw the email that you sent something to my Gmail account last week or something, some photos. I never checked that account ever. It's there for a secondary email account for the security thing all the time. People, you have a second account or whatever. But yeah, this was fantastic, and not just your photos, but thanks for being a big participant in the conversation today. I mean, you were a lot of help in that, talking about. We didn't get to talk about Nikon or Sony and Canon as much. Again, folks out there, if you shoot Canon or Sony, you need to come in and join the panel from time to time. So there you have it. Now we've heard from Leica and we've heard from Hasselblad via Miss Diana Ishii, and we've heard it from John too. But now we need to get some more folks. Fuji, Olympus, OM. I know they're almost two different things now. Old timers don't agree with that, but anyway.
And another thing, Chuck, that you get extra points for being on the panel.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You came up. So we got to get this. We got to get the structure of this down, and I can throw it up on a community post so everybody can look at it and go through it, and we'll figure out how we're going to actually implement it or whatever, just for fun, folks, just for fun. But wow, Joe Man's Land decided to join us. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner, Joe. But we had mentioned you earlier when you dropped in the chat. Everybody needs to go over and check out Joe Man's Land. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Diana about it because she was just recently using a TT Artisan lens on her Leica. And I said, awesome. Well, Joe does reviews of a lot of these different lenses. So what have you reviewed recently, Joe?
Oh man, that's a good question. Most recently it was the Nikon Coolpix 8700 because I got it for free, and they didn't release a Z8 this week, so I was like, you know what? I'm re-releasing this just for fun, and
but you've been playing with some old lenses.
Yep, yeah, I did done a few ones recently. I've got a really weird Russian one actually. I'm going to be shooting. I think not this week, but the week after. It's this. God, here, let me just grab it. It's this weird camera. I had these two lenses kicking around. One was a Takamar, the other one was one of those Mamiya Secors. And I already shot reviews on them. And this young kid was like, "Hey, I'll trade you a couple. I want those two lenses." So I traded and got this weird thing. It's a Practicar, but he included an Industar 53.5, which is like the narrowest lens I've ever seen. So I'm going to, throw this guy on the Nikon Z6 and see what it can do. I'm going to do a little bit of video samples, a little bit of photos. It's not great. It's the 3.5 aperture, but it should be fun. It's really narrow, and so it should be a nice low form factor.
Hey Joe, did you see that guy Matt, the photographer? I think he's out of Switzerland.
Oh, I
And
haven't. I'll check them out.
oh, this guy's unbelievable, man. Anyway, he had a Tech Art M to Z adapter,
Oh yeah.
and this Tech Art apparently does AF. So he's putting these Leica M lenses on, and it's doing autofocus. I mean, really fast, and it's even tracking the eyeballs. Can you believe that?
It's crazy. My FTZ adapter doesn't even do that. It's just like painfully slow. Man, that's crazy. I saw a guy do something similar. I think it was the God, what's it called? It was the Megadap that was doing the Sony glass
Yeah,
to the Nikon Z.
right.
I watched
I
him
had a
unbox it.
Megadap, and it lasted 20 minutes, and the
Oh
servo
no.
busted. But this Tech Art, like, I was impressed. I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
But you're really into adapting all these esoteric lenses and just make a mishmash out of stuff and see what happens.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, I started out with Z glass. Like I love Z glass,
Yeah.
but I bought a 28 and a 35, and I was like, you know, I'm a budget shooter, right? Like it's
Oh,
not my
yeah.
main source of income. I do marketing, right? I get to use my camera gear as part of my job, but it's not my main function.
Mhm.
So I was like, man, like I need to build this lens kit out. So I sold both those lenses, and pretty much for what I sold them for, I got my 1735 2.8, 51.4, and then a 70 to 200 2.8. That's what I run with now. And you know, like moving forwards, like if the Z8 comes out, I'd like to maybe upgrade to that this year, but you know, it's just for now, like yeah, just using the old adapted glass, and you know, I get a little bit of vignetting on the 17 to 35, but aside from that, I find it works pretty
fun.
good. Yeah,
I think it
is,
puts
yeah.
a whole new life on these lenses that were built, 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. One until Nikon has a more entry level, well, not even entry level, like they've got entry level cameras like the ZFC and stuff like that. But until they actually start kind of having that mid grade stuff like Sony and Canon have, you know, that's where people like me have to operate, is a bit more in the F mount class. But like you said, they were great lenses in the past, and you know, a lot of people like softer photos, especially for you know, headshots and things like that. So you just got to lean into the softness.
John does, because he sold a lens because it was too sharp.
Yeah, I had that Voigtlander, Apo 50,
Oh
and I
man,
couldn't. It was just too sharp, man. I couldn't hang.
that's crazy.
Never
You
has a
know,
photographer said a lens is too sharp in this decade, anyway.
well, I mean, you use a lens like that, and if you're a fashion photographer or you're shooting weddings and stuff, man, I tell you what, I think you lose work.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah,
Gaussian blur, man, that thing.
well, I've got a coworker. We were at this work retreat a few months ago. She said, "Hey, do you do wedding photos?" And I said, "No, I hate people. I take pictures of rocks and buildings like that. That's kind of it. That's the extent of the photography." And she's like, "Oh, but like, have you ever done them before?" I said, "Yeah, and I hate people. Like, Bridezilla's come after me. They're like, my
Yeah, see?
skin doesn't look like that." You're like, "No, the camera, like, I can't fix what the
Yeah, how
camera's
come
doing."
you make me look so fat?
Yeah, it's like, come on, Subway
I
did
can't
that,
help
but
if you are.
yeah. But then finally, she's like, "No, it's my wedding." I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I will do your wedding photos." So I'm looking forward. I'll get to do that. I think in a couple months here. And luckily, it's only like 25 people, so it's not like as like high stress as weddings have done in the past. So but I am nervous because again, rocks and buildings. That's all I've been doing for the last little bit.
Just
So
put some Vaseline on the lens.
just lube up the lens and see what happens.
Yeah, but Hagen wants to know who the movie star is on the bottom right there, being you, Joe. So give us a rendition from somebody as to how he responds to Bridezilla.
Okay, no one knows more about wedding photography than me. Okay. You need a burger. It's going to make you feel great. And then we'll build a great big wall around you and I'll be safe. It's going to be so good. You're probably complaining because you're a Canon user. Okay.
That's great, man. That's great. Yeah.
Actually, fun story for you guys.
Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken. You got to do something with Christopher Walken.
Why? I don't want to do it. It's just horrible and it sounds the same every single time I do it. I'm the last Pentax user in the world. I actually, it's funny. When I was a kid, voices were always something I like trying to do, but for whatever reason, every voice just sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but with a varying level of stroke. Like
Yeah.
every single one. And I remember, I think it was probably grade 11. This was when I kind of realized, something's a little loose up here. This kid slams a door on my hand, snaps into the car. All my fingers pop. And any normal person would scream, "Oh my God, this hurts so." No, open the door. Show me your leadership capabilities. Like, for whatever reason, that's what came out. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not going to be an actor, but I wish I could. I like eating
Joe,
too much.
are you Canadian?
Sadly, yes, guilty as charged.
You know who the great Canadian guy who could do improvisations? You know who his name is?
Jim Carrey?
No, way before. Was
No,
Paul? I think it was Paul Little. Was it? He used to
Paul
be on
Little.
Hollywood Squares.
Oh,
yeah.
Paul Lynn.
Chuck? Paul Lynn.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to look him up. Paul Lynn.
Oh man, that makes me feel old. I gotta look him up.
Oh, he's
I know you know Chuck.
I like
Well,
his Trump comb over. It's beautiful.
Well,
Yeah.
I am old, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Jack, you're not old. Although if he uses E9 with that lens that John's talking about, it's anyone's game. Like, it'll make any of us look like we're like 200 years old and very wise.
Man.
I'll need that for my next headshot for work. We were doing a corporate pitch this week for a project we might be doing for a product launch. And I was trying to get this idea through to them. And they're like, "How old are you?" And I keep telling them, "No, focus. Like, I need to just like cover the camera and then pitch the idea." Because I don't know. It's like with the youth, they don't listen as much. And I mean, it was kind of a crazy idea, but that's okay.
Oh
The other
man.
guy, Chuck, was Rich Little. That's it.
Rich Little is that's what he was famous for, is all of his
He was Canadian.
I did not know that.
Because we're from the same era, my friend.
Yeah.
That's a good era.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Rich
Jack
Little
Benny.
did impressions in the 80s. Yeah, Joe.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. Well, folks, it's about my bedtime. I got an early Costco run in the morning because that's living.
Costco.
What province are you in?
I'm in Alberta, same as David. So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Back in the Costco there, yeah.
No, I'm from
we're about
Seattle.
4 or 5 blocks
beautiful.
apart.
Yeah. No, not too far, but
So,
that's cool, John.
my neighbors were from BC.
Yeah, BC, and I love BC. It's where I'd like to end up eventually. But for now, the work and everything keeps me in Calgary. But you know what? We're on the doorstep of the Rockies, so we can't really complain too much. There may be fences, but the landscape's similar to that some of that Mongolia landscape. So, and also there's Walmarts, which I
want to give a shout out to my Canadian friend, Big Head Taco.
Big Head Taco. Well, Big Head Taco, here's your shout out from John.
He's Big Head Taco has a channel, and his name is Take, and he lives out of Vancouver in BC. And check him out because his photography channel is excellent. He does great reviews, and he's really into street photography in downtown Vancouver. Can't miss it.
Vancouver's great. Honestly, some of the street photography that comes out of Vancouver is among the best in Canada, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There in Toronto, there's some really great spots. I mean, I don't like Toronto people, but the city, just spectacular.
All right, man. Good to meet you, Joe.
Yeah, good to meet you guys, and great photos, John. I wish I could have seen some of yours, but Diana, great shots from Mongolia. Super cool.
You.
All right.
Have a good evening, Joe, and I'll see you later.
Yeah, good night, guys. I'll see you later.
All right, Joe. Take care, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck.
Thank
You
you
too.
so much.
Yeah.
I got to get really drunk, eh?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be
so
good.
Uh,
And big.
oh man. Well, it's been quite the night, I'll tell you. I appreciate you guys jumping in with early chat, and again, fantastic going through your photos, Diana. And
Thank you so much.
So you see Robert Daniels in the chat. He's on your Instagram, and he's talking about your Instagram. They're sweet photos, and they're fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Well, you are more than welcome, and thank you for coming on tonight and showing up and showing off your artistic photo work. It's fantastic. And documentary too, I'll tell you, man. That's Nat Geo, those photos. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm going to wrap this up, guys. I'm
Okay.
a little jealous because I know that John and Diana are going out for brunch.
Lunchtime.
That sounds real good right about now, but it's after midnight, so I don't think I'll be going anywhere except for the refrigerator.
It's 1300. Yeah.
David, thank you so much for being in here tonight. And again, you'll send me the stuff, whatever you've come up with or whatever, for the photo review. I'll get it out in the community post so everybody can look at it and everybody can make, we'll talk about it.
Okay. I'll send it again.
Oh, you did send it?
Yep.
All right. I got to go check now. I got to go check again now. I got to get these email addresses changed. I'm going to have an email address for the channel. That's what I need. I'm going to get that done here in the next couple of weeks. Make it so much simpler. I want to thank everybody that's in the chat, everybody that showed up. I know that we had a lot more people in there watching earlier. And if they happen by to watch it again or check something out, I want to thank them. Thank you all that don't necessarily enter in the chat. That's fine. I have a lot of people that tell me they just like listening to the show behind the scenes while they do other things, and that's fine. That's great. That's exactly. I would imagine when we do, photos, we keep dragging them back to the screen to check out the photos, especially tonight, because they could have heard us talking about how nice the photos were. But anyway, thank you all so much. As you all know, I got a new T-shirt for Christmas.
I want that T-shirt.
I want the T-shirt.
Yeah. It's pretty shameless, I know, but I just like showing off my Christmas present. But no, we're getting pretty close to 1,000, and I would like to get to the 1,000 mark. And then I promise I won't aggravate anybody no more. Just let's get to that point, and then we can work the algorithm and really build the community. And we have some fantastic folks in this community, and I want to continue to let it grow. I don't know how I'm going to handle it when it gets real big, if it gets real big, but we'll figure it out. I mean, we do 2 streams a week, so we'll figure it out. But thanks again for all the support by everybody. And if you haven't, please drop a like on your way out and share this with a friend. Maybe they'd be interested in just hanging out with a bunch of folks that gibber. And, that's what I do. But thanks to the panelists. Thanks you guys again for being in here with us tonight. Go check out Miss Diana Ishii's Instagram if you haven't. I will put it in the description. I already dropped it in a comment here in the chat. You can scroll up and find it. And John, check him out on Facebook, his Facebook page, because he's constantly posting photos. And I think you'll enjoy what he's doing as well. Again, thank you all. It's time for me to, I was all set to watch motocross tonight, but it was canceled. Yeah, Robert, I was a little upset about that myself. I always have to record it now that I've stuck myself in doing live streams on Saturday night. All right, that's a motocross insider thing for those that don't know. Actually, Supercross this time of the year. But again, thank you very much for being in here with us, folks. Everybody give a round of applause to the panelists tonight. And if you want to be a panelist, make sure that you send me an email. I would love to have you on the show as well. All right, with that said, I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the weekend, wherever you are. And I will see everybody again Wednesday. For everybody that wants to show up Wednesday, we'll be here.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.